Yo, what's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty. Become a member of the channel to access more content, the link is in the description. 7 La. Chapter 199 of Come to Settle the Account. At this time, Death Grip opened his 5 fingers, as if he was about to crush the whole world. Even if his face was covered by the broken hand, it could not stop his frantic smile. Hey, little Bakugo, you should also like winning, right? But I heard that there is always someone pressing you on your head. I think about his name, Igarashi Masada. It must be. As he walked towards Bakugo step by step, Shigaraki's voice kept getting louder. Because of his existence, you can't be the first. Coincidentally, I hate him to death. I hope you can understand that we are by no means the kind of brainless thugs who take evil for pleasure. Choosing you is definitely not an accident. Everyone here, despite the different reasons, is in the process of being victimized by rules and regulations. In the pain bound by Hero S. You are also bound by Masada Igarashi. As long as he disappears in this world, you will definitely become stronger. At this time, the dead handle 23 wood has arrived in front of Bakugo's eyes, put a hand on the handcuffs that handcuffed Bakugo, and squeezed it hard. The handcuffs gradually turned into fly ash and floated in the air. I think you are not the kind of idiot who can't even see if you can defeat villains even in this situation. Just like that, Bakugo was untied, and Shigaraki didn't seem to worry about Bakugo's counterattack. After all, as he said, there are so many people here. If Bakugo doesn't want to die, he will definitely be obedient. I apologize to you for the tough methods I used before, so you want to join. Boom. Quote. Shihakaki, who reached out to Bakugo and extended his hand to invite, was attacked by Bakugo, who moved his wrist in the middle of speaking. The intense fire from the explosion immediately illuminated the somewhat dim bar. Deadwood, are you okay? All the members of the League of Villains present changed their faces, and no one thought that Bakugo would suddenly come out. I didn't say a word, but it's good for you guys, it's endless humming. After a successful blow, Bakugo's expression was a bit revealing, and he was not afraid of the crowds who had already surrounded him, and said without changing his face, I can only blame your bad head, you can't refine the sentence and the speech will be stinky and long. To put it bluntly, it is we want to find fault for Hero S, so please join us right. Save me a bit of saliva. Thinking of the scene of All Might defeating villains when I was a child, Bakugo's mouth grew wider and wider. I admire the heroic appearance of All Might after winning. Even if you say flowers, this is the same. It can never be changed. And that Magma B****************, D, although I didn't deal with him, he is not what you scumbags can talk about at will. I heard that you have lost a few people under his hands. Then I am really lucky. Ah, no need to see his smug expression. Unexpectedly, Bakugo, who usually fights against Junta everywhere, actually defended him at this time, so Class A is really very united when it comes to the outside world. Hearing Bakugo's words, Spinner, who was defeated by Masada's hand, looked a little uncomfortable, and he was ashamed of being killed by Masada's second move. To inherit Stain's will, it is not enough to rely on his mouth, and he must have strength. However, in the face of Bakugo's arrogant remarks, Shigaraki didn't seem to care too much, but looked down at the ground. The severed hand on his face, because the explosion just now fell to the ground, the 5 fingers were a little scorched and curled up into a ball. Father. When Bakugo saw that Shigeki fell into silence, he was immediately delighted. After all, in order to catch him, the League of Villains took a lot of effort, and also lost 3 people, which shows that he is still valuable to the League of Villains, that is, they will not kill themselves. Having figured this out, Bakugo decided to kill 2 or 3 people before the other party had changed their course, and immediately leave this ghost place. Kill him. However, just as Bakugo was preparing to act, Shigeki recovered his senses at this time, lowering his head and directly issued orders. Nani? Bakugo suddenly didn't understand it. He was so enthusiastic to persuade him to bend him before, and he would turn his face when he turned his face. Listening to the icy tone of Shi Jingmu doesn't seem to be a joke at all. Ah, that's great, I wanted to hack this kid a long time ago, little Bakugo is really cute. The dual personality twice immediately took out a knife from his body and walked towards Bakugo while swinging the knife. In fact, when the League of Villains attacked the apartment, the main target was Masada, while Bakugo was just a secondary target. If Masada were killed at that time, the impact on society might be even greater than that of Bakugo's surrender. Big. It's a pity that Masada not only didn't die, but also left a special Nomu there. This made the dead tree feel angry. If you know that Nomu, he begged his teacher so hard to get it. Later, he wanted to. I'm afraid it's impossible to have another such powerful one. His heart was already full of anger, coupled with the ridicule of Bakugo, the deadwood broke out directly. At this time, he did not think about how to make greater use of the Bakugo pawn, just wanted to quickly let Hero S shame. Come to think of it, the corpse of a top student in the Hero S department is enough to make his teacher a 370 mat collapse. Seeing Twice getting closer and closer, Bakugo broke a bit. Since the other party has decided to kill himself, then he will not be caught with his hands. If you feel that you are easy to deal with, just come. Sparks flickered in the palm of his hand, and he was about to launch the strongest explosion to blow up the people in front of him. At the same time, when he tried to make an escape in the wall behind him, there was a knock on the door. Hello guest, the takeaway pizza you just ordered is here. Everyone in the bar immediately turned their heads and looked at the iron gate. twice also stopped the movement of his hands, just at this moment. Boom. Before the people of League of Villains could react, the wall beside the gate was completely destroyed from the outside. A huge arm stabbed straight into the bar, and the splashing stones made the dead wood stick out its arm to block it. In front of him, smoke and dust filled the entire bar. People who were closer to the wall were caught off guard and were thrown to the other end of the room by the huge impact. After the wall was broken, the originally dim bar became bright in an instant. It is not the color of the moonlight outside, but a crimson that is full of anger, like blood. Dead Handle Wood, I have come to you to settle the account. Chapter 200 Unlucky Cha-kun. Time goes back to 10 minutes ago. Under the waiting of Masada and others, the heavily armed police officer in the mound came to the hall, and with his appearance, Hero S in the hall also knew that this rescue operation was finally about to begin. The general situation must be clear to everyone, so I won't repeat it, but I still want to emphasize the important point. After a pause, the police officer in the mound continued, after our police investigation, the location of the kidnapped person has been ascertained, and it can be basically determined that Villains has multiple bases. So this time, we will take the rescue of Bakugo students as our primary goal, and at the same time suppress the League of Villains base, and strive to eliminate them. The most important point: a quick fight. Don't leave Villains any time to react. Officer Tsukuchi raised his voice suddenly, raised his fist, and said passionately, we have asked the principal to publicly publish false news to deceive Villains at the previous press conference, and at the same time create Shongying is now taking an unseen illusion. After hearing this series of weak speeches, Villains never thought that we would set today as the launch. The day of the raid. It's time to fight back, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, turn defense into offense, Hero S. As the Hero S were dispatched, Masada also led the Special Operations team to follow up. Their goal was to rescue Bakugo, so they followed the large group. All Might and Endeavor were also in this group of people, inside. This battle is too big, it makes me so nervous. Kirishima took a deep breath, and said with a bit of excitement on his face that this time the action is no more than the school's small and medium-sized training, but the real Hero S action. Calm down, there may be a tough battle to be fought later. Green Valley looked at him helplessly. Kirishima, a passionate temperament, is actually very good for Hero S. After all, sometimes Hero S wants to have this kind of indomitable courage. Okay, don't talk anymore, I'll be there soon. As the leader of the team, Masada walked in front of the four and heard him speak, and the few who were still talking in a low voice also closed their mouths. Since the police station is not far from the bar, they have arrived. The surrounding neighborhoods are deserted. Although the lights are still on in the house, they are all used to confuse the League of Villains. The residents have long been evacuated. Is it the house in front? All Might asked the assistant beside him, and when he was sure, he was ready to act. However, someone was faster than him, but Masada heard their conversation clearly, and when All Might was about to accumulate his energy, he rushed out in a hurry. All Might, leave your power to him, just leave it to me at this time. The Masada in front of Faye gave All Might a relieved smile. After receiving a signal from the villains, a jump came into the air. Big Spitfire. A huge lava arm formed in the air, directly shattering the entire wall, and this is the origin of the previous scene. Seeing this scene before him, All Might smiled somewhat relievedly. Perhaps, after this battle, he should really retire. It's time to leave this vast stage for young people. Kurogiri, open the door quickly. Shigeki reacted quickly, and before Masada entered the bar, he yelled at Kurogiri. When Kurogiri heard it, he was immediately ready to teleport. However, when he made a move, he found that hot lava was gushing toward his body, causing him to dodge and avoid, and then there was no time to initiate the teleportation, because of the Hero S. Attacks have followed one after another. Sumac Cage. The jungle Shinwei who followed Masada was his own trick. Between his woody hands grew rapidly, and while spreading out, many forks were separated, like intertwined tree roots, directly bound to the members of the League of Villains. Just rely on this. Cha-kun was also in the bar. His thigh was interrupted by Jung Tai. At this time, he had taken the leg of an unknown creature. Although it looked a little weird, it didn't seem to affect his movements. Bear. A monstrous blue flame came from the palm of his hand and directly repelled the attack of the jungle gods. After all, the jungle gods, who was a wooden man, was really scared of flames. I didn't expect you to be so dishonest. After a broken leg, do you have to break all limbs to be quiet? But Masada was not afraid, so he rushed out directly facing the sea of fire. Cha-kun's flame blocked the opponent's attack while also blocking his line of sight. When he saw Masada rushing out of the flame, it was already too late. Click. The sound of fractured bones was clearly visible even in this noisy environment, and what followed was the cries of Choppa. I saw that Masada's hand was densely covered with magma, and he directly grabbed Cha-kun's thigh that was connected, and with a kick, his newly obtained leg said goodbye to him. Igarashi Masada, it's you again. The indifferent expression completely disappeared on his face. At this time, Cha-kun's eyes only left anger and hatred, but he could not do anything with Masada. On quirk, he was crushed, and his physical strength was even more. It's not comparable. Just by looking at the muscle mass of the two of them, you can know that they are not of the same Gujiao's grade. Ignoring Cha-kun's gaze that seemed to be killing people, Jung Tai directly slammed him against the wall, and then rushed to Cha-kun at a speed that other people could not react to. Also unloaded. Now you can't use quirk, right? Looking at Taken, Masada's face is unkind, because now his two arms are tied directly by Masada, and the palms of his hands are facing him. If you use quirk, the first unlucky person is yourself. However, Masada may have been worrying too much, because in the severe pain, Cha-kun had already tilted his head and fainted. Naturally, there would be no chance. Solve 1. Then, who is next? He patted his hands, and turned around too satisfied, feeling the horrified gazes of the League of Villains, and said coldly. Chapter 201 Helpless. Hey, why are you guys here? The first to break the silence was not Tamura Shigaraki, but Bakugo, who was still standing in the center of the venue. Bakugo can be said to be very upset in his heart. Although he had thought about whether someone would come to rescue him before, he did not expect that the person who came was actually Masada. Isn't this a naked show that he is inferior to him? Of course I'm here to save you, Bakugo. Kirishima also jumped in from the opening made by the Masada, and saw that the surrounding villains were still frozen, so he rushed over and pulled Bakugo back. It was unexpectedly smooth. No, it should be said to be unexpectedly strong. From knocking on the door to now, the whole process took place within 1 minute, and in this short minute, Bakugo's rescue operation has been completed, and villains has also been knocked down by Masada. Once again, he was shocked by Masada's strength. Even Boom, who was very familiar with Masada, was even more surprised by the crowd outside. Dragon said A. No, when did we pop up such a ruthless man? I have never seen it before. Dragon said B. Did you wear your ears before? He is the captain of the special operations team this time. I heard that he is still a student of Shongying. 370 Dragon said C. The young people nowadays are terrible. I'm afraid we can't add up to this strength for a few seconds, right? When the three of them said this, they looked at each other and nodded, only feeling a silent breath of sadness permeated. Endeavor and All Might were standing downstairs at this time, and together with the police opened an enclosure on the outside to prevent fish from slipping through the net. After hearing the above movement, I was very anxious and didn't know what was going on. But soon they were relieved, because Bakugo had reluctantly walked out of the bar under Kirishima's pull, and the hostages had been rescued, which also meant that the operation had been successful. Huh, it looks like this kid is doing well. With a long breath, Endeavor expressed his appreciation for Masada's behavior. This time he proposed to set up a special operations team, but there was a lot of pressure, but fortunately, he can now relax. Igarashi Masada is you again. Shigemu reacted at this time. Seeing Masada's disdainful expression, the hatred in his heart seemed to overflow, and the thick resentment could be seen with the naked eye. Seeing the eyes of Shibanmu that seemed to kill his father and enemy, he smiled too much. Why, I haven't asked you to settle the account yet, but you are good. What do you want to look like a wronged little daughter-in-law? Kurogiri, there is no way, there are too few people on our side, we count as many as there are, so let's send them all. Death Grip Wood has grown a lot more than before. It is not the stunner in the USJ attack. The current situation is obvious. There are only a few that have combat power on the side, and the number of heroes on the opposite side is simply counted. But come, besides, there are still All Might in this nasty Magma B******************************** D. It is impossible to retreat completely. Sorry, Nomu, who was supposed to be at the coordinate point, is gone. However, Kurogiri gave him a message that couldn't be worse. Without Nomu's support, what else could they rely on to win? That's right, after investigation, it was found that Yaoyorozu's 100 handcuffed signal was launched in a warehouse in Nomu. While rescuing Bakugo here, the professional hero S on the other side also set off toward that warehouse. With the existence of the demolition office of MT. Lady, Hero S easily destroyed the entire building, and under the powerful quirk of Best Genist, controlled all the Nomu that has been produced. A lot of Nomu that was being transformed in the nutrient solution was also found. Among them, there is Sister Maggie. I don't know if it's because he was over-injured and it was too useless to save him. The League of Villains directly abandoned him, and in the end it used him as a waste, and wanted to make him into Nomu to continue fighting, and the pair of handcuffs were there. Found in this warehouse, CDEI. The tiger also found his partner here, the puppet cat. When she found her, the puppet cat was soaked in the nutrient solution, and his eyes were dull. This made the tiger angry and killed a few Nomu directly. Then he picked up the puppet cat and sent it to the surrounding ambulance. Waiting for treatment. On the other side, after a perfect start with Masada's opening, other Hero S also entered the bar one after another. This time, it's not just us who are delivering pizza. Ekashut was the last one to come in. After confirming that no villains had slipped away, he turned to the villains inside and said. As he entered, Kurogiri's body suddenly trembled, and then his head tilted and fell down. Kurogiri, what's wrong with you? Kurogiri can be said to be the last resort of the dead wood. Without his quirk, no one here can run away. Now that he suddenly fainted, he was naturally yelling anxiously. It's useless, this man is too troublesome. For safety reasons, let him sleep first. At this time, Ekachuti's body has become as thin as paper. This is his quirk, paper limbs. He can thin his body and then stretch it. After arduous training, he can stretch his body faster than the speed of sound. The fainting of Kurogiri just now came from his hands. Kurogiri's weakness has been exposed to the Hero S after these several incidents. He is no exception. With hands and feet, Kurogiri can only lie down obediently. Okay, here comes the question, who is next? Masada stood at the innermost part of the bar, and formed an encirclement with the Hero S outside, and locked the League of Villains people in this small bar. Press Hihiro, Hideyoshi Iguchi, Hitoshi Kawara, and Tamura Shigaraki. Although the information is extremely limited, and time is still very tight, the police found out your identities overnight. Now you know it is amazing. Short, but not weak at all, Gran Torino, who is always strong, is also a member of the Hero S at this time. He shows the identity of everyone in the League of Villains one by one, making the faces of everyone in the League of Villains. It's all changed. There is nowhere to escape. Ah, yes, you are already surrounded by me. Masada also said that her hands had already faintly reddened, and it seemed that League of Villains would make a move when something went wrong. Quote, your teacher, where is Shibanemu? I and him, but want to have a good talk. There was a smile that he believed to be kind, and there was lava flowing on Masada's arm, and she walked towards the dead wood. Chapter 202 Sudden Variables. Looking at the people in the League of Villains who were facing the enemy, Masada's eyes suddenly twitched, and the awe-inspiring aura that appeared when they were sleeping together once again crushed them over. They now finally understand what kind of monster this student who was regarded as the enemy of Death Handle is really. Under the pressure of this invisible aura, Shigemu also bends his knees, as if unconsciously developing a feeling of surrender in his heart, but fortunately, even if he grabbed the bar counter, he barely stabilized his body. The mortal situation in front of him made him seem to be in a certain kind of mania. Bloodshot quickly covered his white eyeballs, his hands also unconsciously grabbed his neck, and the expression on his face was extremely distorted. What are you kidding? Stop talking nonsense, my dream has just begun. It seems to be mumbling, and it seems to be saying to the Masada who was walking towards him, I want to completely disrupt the shit society that has been framed by justice and peace for a long time. It may be just like this whatever. I'm asking you something, where is your teacher? I couldn't see the appearance of the other person's babbling madman. Masada strode forward directly, and hit the belly of Shibanemu with a fist. He had no desire to understand Shibanemu's dream at all. Vomit. With a strong punch, the dead wood bends down like a cooked prawn, kneeling on the ground and constantly retching, but his expression did not calm down because of the pain, but was even more crazy. NS. The severed hand on his face no longer knows where he flew. Shigeki lifted his dry and pale face and fell into madness, and shouted hysterically, I hate you most, Igarashi Masada. Shout, it's too late for you to say anything now. Masada looked around in a circle, and the other members of the League of Villains were shocked by their own aura just now, and then they were easily restrained by the Hero S. Now he is the only polished commander left by the dead wood. Don't you really say it? The next time it falls on you, isn't it as simple as a fist? Standing in front of the death handle, the condescending warning was like a man who had lost his heart. Masada only felt that he was like a child who had lost his toy now, and he simply didn't have the dignity that an evil organization leader should have. However, Masada is not a saint. Since the existence of the dead wood has threatened the people around him, then he must not be let go. Don't say so, don't blame me then. Seeing a mocking smile looking at his dead wood, Masada felt a little annoying. Shouldn't it be a big deal to want to break his hand? Just make sure that he is still alive. The temperature emitted by the hot magma made the people around a little uncomfortable, and the pungent sulfur breath constantly stimulates their nasal cavity. Seeing it close at hand, it doesn't look like a fake lava arm at all. There was a hint of panic. Hey, Kurogiri, speak up. Send me away quickly. Hear you. In fear, he shouted at Kurogiri, who had taken care of everything, but Kurogiri had lost consciousness. Backing away, but there is only such a big space in the bar, where can he escape? Repent for the sins you committed. Raising the magma arm high, Masada roared and was about to drop his fist, but at this time, the situation suddenly changed. The sky full of black liquid suddenly appeared in front of Shigenmu, and then spread to the entire bar, but Masada saw the weird scene and did not stop moving, and his fist still went out without any direction. Boom. The sound of the fist entering the body and the burnt smell of flesh and blood clearly indicate that Masada hit villains, but his face changed. I hit it. It turned out to be Nomu. In the black water just now, several Nomu heads of different shapes appeared at this time, and Masada's fist was blocked by one of them, allowing the dead wood to hug an arm. Quote ? Quote. The surrounding professional hero S saw the scene in front of them and was shocked. No one knew where these Nomu came from, and what these black liquids were. Akashia, where's Kurogiri? Gran Torino immediately wondered if it was Kurogiri's ghost, and hurriedly asked Igisio loudly, but seeing the same shocked expression on the other side, she knew that Kurogiri had indeed passed out. For flowers. Damn it. Masada pulled out his fist from Nomu's body in front of him, and kicked him out with a kick. At this time, he ignored the others, and directly spewed white steam up and down all over his body, which raised his speed by a notch. He rushed to the front of the dead wood. Shibamu was still stunned at this time, as if he did not react to what happened just now, but if you look closely at his mouth, you can see that he seems to be talking. Teacher. But Masada didn't have the energy to pay attention to this. Lincoln kicked towards Shigenmu's head with a kick. He was confident. If he kicked it hard, Shigenmu would definitely lose it in the first place. Consciousness. 0. Snapped. The legs with the sound of the wind touched the head of the dead wood, but Masada did not feel the entity, but felt that he was kicking on the liquid. Sure enough, the strange black liquid appeared on the body of Death Handle just now, and now he has wrapped his whole person in it. With Masada's foot, his body has completely turned into this liquid. In a burst of distortion, it completely disappeared in the space. And the other members of the League of Villains, although they were a step slower, all of them have this situation. Their mouths are now constantly spitting out this foul-smelling black water. I can only watch a few people being transferred away. Sorry everyone. Feeling his negligence, Mi Lin Chenwei said to everyone anxiously, but everyone knew that he could not be blamed. The hero S just now, just like Masada, attacked the moment the black water appeared, but without exception, it was useless. This is obviously not the quirk that opens the space tunnel like Kurogiri, but separates the target. The ability to transfer. With so many people missing, the bar has not been deserted, but has become more lively. Countless Nomu is still emerging from the black water, making the hero S in the field overwhelmed. Damn it, how could you let them run like this? Masada was also a little self-blaming at this time. If she had been more decisive just now, maybe the Deadwood will not be able to escape. Chapter 203 The Defeat of the Hero S. Nomu not only appeared in the bar, even outside there was no exception. At this time, Endeavor led the professional hero S in the fight against Nomu. It's this kind of monsters that are neither human nor ghost. Are they all teleported from there? Burning ahead of Nomu to ashes with a punch, Endeavor shouted at the police officer in the mound. The police officer in the mound is also at a loss. According to the original plan, Kurogiri is their first target to subdue. Without Kurogiri, villains will not be able to form effective support. Could it be that the plan has failed? Or is it the League of Villains? Still have a backhand. Damn it, hurry up. Constantly contacted the Bull King, but there was no response at all. The police officer's heart in the mound kept sinking. It seemed that there was a change in another League of Villains base. Boom. Quote. There was a burst of 373 in the bar, which attracted everyone's attention. I saw countless magma forming a magma column, breaking the small bar to pieces, and there were many Nomu in the magma. Struggling endlessly, but this was just in vain. Under the viscous magma, they could only flop and turn into fly ashes. Seeing that these magma pillars were about to fall on the street and cause indiscriminate damage to the surrounding buildings, a thick ice wall rose from the periphery of the small bar again, blocking all the magma, and suddenly the entire street was enveloped by water vapor. All Might, the League of Villains was teleported away. It's not Kurogiri's ability, someone else teleported them. At this time, Masada jumped out of the ruined bar, and shouted at All Might who was fighting Nomu below. He had a vague idea in his heart. It is very likely that AFO had rescued several people. And the large amount of magma must have come from him before, because the number of villains is too much, and the hero S in the bar lacks powerful and wide-ranging tricks, so just wait for them to leave. Directly a large amount of magma was released, engulfing the bar directly and giving a stare outside the house. Boom is also a heart-to-heart, and stopped Junta's attack at the very moment of the shot. This wave of cooperation directly eliminated the blockbuster Nomu, and made Hero S less pressure. Rescued. All Might's eyes condensed. Although almost everyone in this world has quirks like teleportation are still very rare. The emergence of a Kurogiri has shaken the society. I am afraid that there is no other than my old opponent. People can have it. Endeavor, I leave it to you. Since his old enemy may have appeared, All Might will naturally not waste time here. It is necessary to know that every second of AFO's external activities may cause greater damage to society, which makes him unable to bear. If you want to go, hurry up. Don't dawdle here. Endeavor's tone is not very good. He has been surrounded by 4 or 5 Nomu, but he still appears to be comfortable. Knowing that All Might has more important things to do, he directly provoked the main beam. And the other side. It's disgusting. Were these things really human before? Hero S had already taken the Nomu warehouse under the leadership of the Bull King. At this time, Mt. Lady was holding a howling Nomu in one hand, and said disgustingly. Speaking of the booming Cow King, such an easy job, you can't come over, right? I think you should go to the All Might side. Best Genist, who was manipulating the fiber and pulling Nomu out of the warehouse, sighed after hearing the words of the mountain girl. The older generation's tone taught her, when thinking about problems, you must divide the difficulty and the importance. Think for the second, so learn more, newcomer. The mountain girl appeared on the professional hero S stage when she was in the 3rd year of the junior high school. In front of the trendy Bull King who has been hero S for more than 10 years, she is indeed a veritable newcomer. She knows his meticulous Mt. Lady, too cute, stuck out her tongue and stopped talking. Mobile forces, immediately prepare a mobile cage. There may be villains hidden in the room, and the villains that have been arrested will be handed over to you. Order by order to go down. Just as the Bull King was preparing to lead the hero S to the depths of the factory, there were sudden footsteps in the darkness. Don't move. A responsive hero S immediately made an attack towards the door, shouting loudly, wanting to let an unknown person in the factory be caught. It's so capable, hero S. After all, the inventory is a little bit low, and my body has just recovered. I almost didn't have time to save someone because of you guys. However, the sound of footsteps inside did not stop because of the warning, but became clearer in this silent night. Then, a black leather shoe first appeared in everyone's eyes. Quote exclamation mark. As if foreseeing something, the explosive-tied Bull King immediately used his quirk. In an instant, countless fibers wrapped around the figure in the dark, and then contracted at the same time, binding the figure tightly. I said senior, if he is an ordinary citizen, when should it be good? Seeing the tricky movements of the explosive Cow King, the mountain girl who is not experienced and has not felt the horror of the characters inside is a little excited. It is Hero's taboo to hurt ordinary people. See the reality before you clearly. Even a moment of indecision can influence the final outcome. The explosive Tide Bowl King tightly tightened the fibers in his hands, leaving no room for resistance to the opponent. Years of professional Hero's career told him that the characters inside may not be compatible. But it seems that this figure didn't care about the fibers on his body, as if these fibers that were enough to chop the flesh into pieces had no effect on him. It's hard to get Diao to start thinking on his own initiative, to find his own way. If possible, I really don't want you to disturb him now. A deep voice came from the darkness, carrying a force of pressure inside, which made everyone present feel stunned. Afterwards, a violent shock wave swept out of the factory with rocks wrapped in it. The strong wind rolled up when the pressure was about to break the ground. Taking the figure as the origin, a gully tens of meters wide and several hundred meters in length appeared in front of him. On this gully, whether it is a building or the ground, it is all turned into ruins. And the figure lost the shelter of the building, and showed its figure in the moonlight. The face and neck are completely covered with a black metal mask, and he is wearing a clean suit. This tall man is exactly AFO. In a second, Hero's was defeated. Chapter 204 Masada, appear. In front of AFO, the previous Hero's had all fallen to the ground, with injuries of various sizes all over. And the most injured inside turned out to be the strongest explosive Tide Bowl King. Flap, pop. Although the surroundings are a little noisy, the applause is exceptionally clear, like a sword inserted into the hearts of all Hero's. It's really no. 4. I originally planned to make you all disappear with this blow. You can manipulate everyone's clothes and pull them to one side in an instant. In terms of judgment and skill, it is really different from ordinary people. AFO spoke complimenting words, but to Best Jeanist, it was a naked mockery. A-hole. When he fell on the ground, he raised his head with difficulty, and looked at the AFO who was standing in place without even moving his footsteps. The horrible pressure radiated from the opponent's body made Best Jeanist's limbs a little stiff. It was no less terrifying than All Might, and even more terrifying than him in a sense. Your quirk is not suitable for me, so I don't need it. Looking at Best Jeanist coldly, AFO was a little disdainful. 23. From his perspective, Best Jeanist's strength depends entirely on countless training and accumulation of a large amount of actual combat experience to reach its current level. From the perspective of quirk alone, it is not powerful. With one hand bent, Yuan Yao turned towards the immovable Best Jeanist, and an invisible shock wave was quickly sent out, directly hitting a hole in the already severely injured Best Jeanist, causing him to fall into a coma. Oh, you are here. After solving Best Jeanist, a large amount of black water suddenly poured out from AFO's side, and then the Deadwood and the League of Villains all fell out of it. You failed again, hang. Si Bingmu lowered his head at this time and did not go to see his teacher. Perhaps he felt that he had no face to meet his mentor who had worked so hard to nurture him. Perhaps it was because he had escaped from death and had not been relieved. Don't be discouraged because of this. Just start from the beginning. I've helped you get all your partners back. The gentle words uttered from AFO's mouth, somewhat incompatible with the terrifying aura exuding from his body. No matter how many times you fall, you can start all over again. I exist for this. Walking to the Deadwood, who was half kneeling on the ground, AFO stretched out a hand to him, placed it on his head, and stroked it gently. Okay, leave it to me here, you take them and go first. Perhaps it was a secret feeling. AFO foretells the upcoming battle. Without any nostalgia, he stretched out a hand, and his fingers suddenly turned into a black and red torrent, and directly plunged into the body of Kurogiri who was still in a coma. Quirk is forced to start. Kurogiri's body suddenly dispersed and turned into a slowly rotating black hole, apparently having opened the portal. Who is this uncle? Spinner is still in a state of shock. Is this person the teacher Shigiomu usually talks about? Looks like a ruthless character. Let's go quickly. The police will probably chase after a while. We are currently too badly damaged, and we are not an opponent at all. The magician was unexpectedly calm. He leaned down and put his palm on Cha-kun who had passed out. Tu-kun instantly turned into a glass ball, which he put in his pocket and put it in his pocket. And twice has already jumped into the black hole early. He was scared by Jung-tai just now. The scene of Tu-kun being abused has not dissipated in his heart for a long time. He believes that he does not have the strength of Cha-kun. I'm afraid Masada would be lightly beaten. No way, sir, your current body. Shijingmu looked at his teacher AF0 worriedly. He was someone who knew about his affairs 5 years ago. After the original AFO was seriously injured by All Might, he has been hanging out for several years and has not fully recovered. Now he is completely leaning on. Only the breathing device on the face can move, and the physical ability is not as good as before. If you fight with the monster of All Might at this time. If one fights, Shigemu dare not think further. HMPH, are you worried about All Might? AFO's tone didn't show any worries, but rather a bit of sarcasm. Don't worry, hang, I'm not the same as before. If All Might really comes, then this will be his end. A dull voice came from behind the metal mask, and AFO's words showed great confidence. I have recently got some good things. After that, AFO didn't agree with Shigiomu, and directly stretched out his hand and launched a wave of air towards him, sending him into the black hole, and then the black hole also slowly contracted, and finally disappeared between the heaven and the earth. Okay, now the people are also sent away, so let's solve your problem first. Turning around, aiming the metal mask at the professional heroes who were knocked down to the ground before. AFO spread his hands and made a helpless gesture. Although I don't really want to kill you, but for those who stand in front of me, I have always cut the grass and roots, sorry. After saying this, AFO raised his arm forward, seemingly about to send out the previous shock wave. The air is hardened, explosive power x4, muscles and bones are clockwork, just try this combination first. The arm suddenly swelled in a circle, and it was enveloped by the white air current. The professional heroes all opened their eyes and moved their bodies vigorously to escape, but they couldn't move at all because of their injuries and they could only keep their eyes open. Watching AFO prepare his moves. Just when they seemed to have seen the sight of their own death, AFO's movements suddenly stopped and looked suspiciously towards the horizon. As if perceiving something, AFO pointed the charged arm at the sky. A group of professional heroes also looked at the past with confusion, and was immediately stunned by the sight in front of them. I saw that the direction his arm was facing, an orange meteor was moving fast in the night sky, like a meteorite falling. It was extremely conspicuous in the night, and the whistling wind could even be heard by them on the ground. What is this? Meteor. I don't know if I can smash this guy to death. 373 The mountain girl struggling to prop up her head, her body has returned to its original size. Looking at the growing meteor, she was a little expectant. If you can stay here with the boss who is suspected of being the leader of the League of Villains, who has the strength comparable to All Might, then the sacrifices of yourself and others will not be a big deal. However, her expectations must have been lost, because this is not a meteor at all, but our Masada classmate. Hey, it seems that the little devil back then has grown a lot. With a sigh of emotion, AFO slammed the air cannon in his hand towards Masada in the sky. A huge sonic boom caused everyone's heads to roar for a moment, but he recovered and looked anxiously at the top of his head. Boom. The meteor burst directly under this magnificent air cannon, scattered into pieces and burst out brightly in the sky, and then fell straight down from the sky. Is it useless? Profession Hero S.'s heart sank for a moment. If rescue doesn't come, I'm afraid he and others will have to stay here forever. Don't use such tricks. Suddenly, a very energetic voice came from their ears, and they raised their heads in surprise, only to see the previous meteor fragments. At this time, a human figure was slowly condensed on the ground. The words of Gang-O were from his mouth. I have come to you to settle the bill, AFO. Masada. Debut. Chapter 205 Collision with AFO. Hey, why are you kid? It's dangerous here, run away. Mount. Lady saw the body of meteor, and immediately panicked. If the reinforcements were Masada, she would rather not. Well, anyhow, I am also a member of the Special Operations team. It is my own freedom to come here. Masada's voice was transmitted to MT. Lady's ears along with the high temperature, leaving her speechless. Indeed, Masada was given a high degree of freedom and was the most special person involved in this operation. Oh, I don't know what gave you the courage to say these things when you ran away from me a few months ago. Watching the lava in front of me gradually solidify, and finally turned into a Masada's AFO, I said playfully. In the past few months, I have learned about Masada's progress from various channels. Even AFO is shocked. The growth rate of Masada has surpassed that of him at the beginning. At first, I saw it by myself. I gave you a choice before, but you refused. Now I will give you another chance. Would you like to join me? I promise that if you become my disciple, I will make you stronger. I don't know what kind of mentality he is holding, or the slight disappointment in the death handle wood, or the optimistic about the future of Masada. AFO once again throws 373 an olive branch to Masada. What? All the professional heroes around were surprised. I didn't expect that this suspected local boss actually knew Masada and wanted to win him over. Everyone only felt that the heart was throbbing and thumping, and an uneasy mood enveloped the whole body. These professional heroes know Masada's reputation. They are geniuses that even All Might and Endeavor can praise. A teenager is the first person in the new generation. Not only has his strength dazzled most heroes, his potential is even immeasurable. If he joins the villain's side at this time, then the entire heroes world will usher in the end. But fortunately, after listening to this boss, Masada had already rejected him once before, and now I can only hope that you Masada will reject him again. Masada was also taken aback. He was already ready to meet the AFO's attack. He didn't expect that he was still alive and wanted to rebel. Obviously there is already a Tamura Shigaraki who has been trained for so many years. If he passes, he will die. Can't be rubbed on the ground by yourself. In short, for such a naive question, Masada said that he doesn't even have the desire to think. He is now mixed with the wind and water, CDEI, which can be called a model of a winner in life. If you go to the opposite side, you can't get any benefits, and you have become a person. People shout and beat. No matter what happens, it is impossible to fall to the villain's side. Choosing to directly respond to AFO with action, Masada's arms suddenly turned into hot lava, which became extremely huge in the surging, and two giant arms made of magma appeared beside him. Big Spitfire. Seeing the magnificent aura ahead, mixed with the high temperature and sulfur scent attack, AFO sighed. Although I have known that you will definitely refuse, but don't be so stubborn, there is no room left, Hero S. AFO's name for Masada has changed, which means that he has completely abandoned his plan to recruit Masada, and the next step is to fight a real war. Just use the previous tricks to deal with you. Air compression radiation plus explosive force x3 plus musculoskeletal springing enough to deal with you like this. The arm swelled again, and the invisible air cannon slammed toward the rushing Masada, destroying everything in front of him into ruins. Huh, do you really think I'm the same me a few months ago? Seeing that AFO actually used the trick that severely injured himself the last time, Masada's heart burst out with an unknown fire, steam gushing under his feet, and the speed increased to a level so that the professional hero in the distance could not see it. Clear his figure. It's irrational to choose to fight hard at this time. A person who didn't know Masada yelled at the side. In his opinion, the attack power of AFO is simply incredible. At this time, avoiding the attack before attacking is the best choice. I didn't expect Masada to look like it. The strength is very strong, and the sky is blown up in the hero's circle, but the actual combat experience is still too bad. However, Masada doesn't have time to pay attention to these lack of vision. How does his attack look at the momentum of the opposite side? Haven't heard a sentence. Output all depends on roar. The momentum is decided to a certain extent. The moves are powerful. He directly lifted his left hand and faced the invisible air wave. Because both sides were at extremely high speeds, they did not reach for a second and they collided together. Boom. Quote, there was a huge explosion, and I felt a resistance from my arm, and I grinned too much. The magma on the shoulders gushed, and the situation that seemed to be stalemate instantly fell to one side. The strong driving force caused the magma arm to directly explode the air wave, and then countless magma gushed out of Masada again, pushing his body. Fly forward. Try Lao Tzu's counterattack, AFO. With the help of the impetus, Masada raised his right arm high. The flaming lava made his figure stand out in the night sky, and they could even see the Green Valley 5 kilometers away. Jingtai is already fighting villains. Kirishima was standing back to back with Bakugo at this time, and with the densely packed Nomu fighters on the road. After clenching his fist and hitting Nomu, he looked at the red sky and said with some worry. Just now, after seeing the people from the League of Villains being teleported away, Masada gave them instructions to fight Nomu here, and flew away without saying a word. Although he didn't say anything, everyone knew that he was going. Another battlefield. Shout. You still have the mind to control that B******************, D. You are really leisurely. Bakugo gritted his teeth and gave the policeman a glance, and then stopped paying attention. He turned the head of Nomu into the air and yelled at Kirishima loudly, even if you die here, that B***********, D can't die. Hey, although this is a bit awkward, I like it. After listening to Bakugo Tsunere's words, Kirishima gave a hearty smile, and then directly turned on the hardened mode transformation and rushed into the Nomu pile. We can't fall behind either. In the battlefield, the green lightning, the intertwined field of ice and fire, the sprinting figure, the hardened man like a monster, and the monstrous explosion have become the focus of everyone's eyes. These kids are really amazing. Endeavor, you have a good son. Even if the police officers in the Tsukauchi who had seen the world were amazed by the combat effectiveness of the Class A classmates, Endeavor accelerated his hand movements after hearing this, and the high-temperature flames burned all of Nomu around him to ashes. HMPH, compared with that kid, he is far behind. Chapter 206 All Might is coming. Even a breakthrough. Seeing that Masada directly broke the air cannon with brute force, a foe's heart was also a little surprised. You must know that his body is not as broken as before. The state can be said to be very good, and the attack power displayed will naturally not be bad. In his impression, there was such an explosion, and there was only All Might alone. It's really amazing to apply quirk to this level. Facing the attacked magma fist, AFO didn't panic, and still stood faintly on the spot. Then, a stronger wind pressure emerged from him, and then it became visible to the naked eye. The violent air current swept towards Masada. What's this quirk? Before encountering this tornado, Masada's figure in midair is a little unstable. People cannot borrow force in the air. Masada can only rely on the propelling force of magma to maintain stability. The violent airflow quickly hit the giant fist of magma. Torn by the gale, the magma was continuously stripped from Masada's arm, and the temperature of the magma continued to drop. The original bright red color was a little dim at this time. I can't go on like this, I won't have any stamina before I get to him. As the temperature of the magma drops, the driving force has also dropped by a large amount. I know that this kind of consumption is doing useless work, so it directly activates the elementalization, and the body becomes magma and falls vertically from the sky, avoiding this path. Fierce tornado, whirlwind, quote question mark. Mindanao is this strange usage, your quirk is really very powerful, do not know what defects it can. Can you tell me? Seeing Masada who reunited his body after landing, AFO said with some confusion, because Masada's face did not look abnormal at all, and there was no excessive consumption at all. Hey, do you think I'm the villain in anime? Will I popularize my tricks for you before the fight? Standing up from the magma pool, Jungtai sneered. The area here has almost turned into his home court, and the ground is full of sores after being corroded by magma. Just as he was about to attack again, the AFO on the opposite side suddenly stopped and looked at the sky instead. You really are here. In the night sky, a golden figure was coming towards here too quickly, and the voice had already advanced before the person arrived. All for one, quote, as if he had anticipated the situation in the sky, a foe's mouth curled up with a smile. After his body was restored to health, he would be able to completely defeat the person who had killed him once in front of everyone. It is the best gift for him, and it is also the best opening remark to tell the society that the Dark Emperor has returned. At the moment when this sturdy figure was about to hit him, a foe's arms instantly swelled, and at the same time he activated several enhanced quirks, directly receiving the opponent's iron fist. This strength, you have become weaker. All Might. A violent air wave rolled up from the place where the two clashed, and the ground around the AFO was once again baptized by the storm. Countless rubble was blown away by the air wave. There are countless bottomless cracks on display, and Hero S, the profession that had fallen in the ruins, was once again swept away from the battlefield. Masato relied on his superhuman body and the huge mass of magma to stabilize his figure under this impact, and the figure of AFO stood firmly on the ground, withstanding the blow of All Might head-on. The bar is only 5 kilometers away from here. It took you 30 seconds to get here. Are you making me laugh? After moving his wrists, AFO looked at a few All Might standing in front of him, as if mocking. You've been holding on all the time. What about wearing this kind of gas mask-like headgear? 5 years ago, a foe's head was smashed with a fist from All Might. Behind this metal mask is 80% of AFO's terrible face. After hearing All Might's reply, AFO seemed to have heard a joke, and stood still and laughed. Ha 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 ha, do you really think that I have done nothing like you in the past 5 years? Too naive, All Might. Raising his left hand, the air cannon compressed to the extreme, a faint white light appeared from AFO's hands. This was a move that was much more powerful than Gang O's attack that defeated the Hero S in an instant. Coming, seeing AFO's tricks, as his old opponent, All Might is obviously very familiar with it. Beat him into hell once. For flowers. Boom. However, it is somewhat different from All Might's vision. At the moment when the two touched, he felt that an impact stronger than his own was acting on him, and then his body was directly blown back by the air wave, and it was destroyed. Destroyed more than a dozen buildings behind him, and finally crashed into a piece of rubble. Cough. A trace of blood was left at the corner of his mouth. All Might covered his chest in pain, and stood up with difficulty. Your power has restored AFO. In a short while, all the smoke and dust dissipated. AFO still stood on the spot, with an indifferent appearance, and All Might was already injured. After a blow, the judgment was reached. All Might has now noticed the current state of AFO. It has almost returned to 5 years ago. However, he has left an incurable injury due to the original wound. In addition, he has passed the OFA to Izuku Green Valley, resulting in with a serious decline in strength. This battle may be very difficult. Thanks to the doctor's technology, genetic technology is really a magical thing. Facing his biggest villains, AFO twisted his neck and directly revealed the secret that he didn't even tell the dead wood, but it may also be because he felt that the current All Might could not stop him. It doesn't hurt to say this kind of thing. Sure enough, there is a connection between your League of Villains and the Doctor. Then let me send you to jail now, and then take the League of Villains in and reunite you. Just rely on your current body. Hearing this, the AFO couldn't help but sneered. If All Might still has the previous power, he might really have to be careful, but now the strength of the two has broken away. And other heroes except All Might S, in his eyes it is just a chicken and dog, it is not a combat power at all. I said, did you forget me? Surface of Flame. Since the arrival of All Might, Masato, who has been ignored by AF0, has revealed his minions at this moment. Long. Chapter 207 Freshman AFO. Thick magma continued to gush out from Masato's body, and a 20-meter-high magma giant was formed in an instant, and then the magma in the giant's two hands extended to form two giant swords, one of which was already facing back. His AFO slashed fiercely. Under this huge sword, both AFO and All Might's bodies looked so small, the roaring sound of the air with a hot air current, directly aimed at AFO's foothold, leaving him no room for defense. All Might, it's important to save people first. The sound of the urn sounding in the magma giant came out, causing All Might to be taken aback, and immediately looked around. Everything in front of him made All Might angry. Because he didn't rush here in the first time, all the Hero S here have already fallen, and the Hero S in it is almost familiar to him, it is his back. And friend. Because before the 373 came, Masato was playing against AFO. Now it seems that he can hold it for a while. All Might gritted his teeth, jumped a few times, and quickly shuttled through the field, bringing everyone together directly, and then handed them to Gran Torino, who was only able to rush over at this time. HMPH, do you have any meaning in this trick? Simply increase the size to increase power. What a ridiculous way of using quirk. Seeing Masato's Yanjusou, AFO sneered disdainfully, and directly attached a layer of inflatable model to his hand, and then faced the Yanjusuo's giant sword with one hand. In his opinion, this trick was no matter how powerful it is, it will be at the same level as the previous Great Spitfire. However, he was thinking wrong. Masato's Yanjuzou not only has a physical advantage, but his explosive power has increased exponentially. As soon as he touched, AFO knew that he was wrong. This force is not only larger than the magma fist just now, but also faintly surpasses the fist that All Might has just thrown. Impact reversal. Unfortunately, just when Masato thought he was going to succeed with this trick, AFO used another quirk that he had never shown before. The power that originally acted on AFO's hands, at this moment, the direction completely reversed, impacting on the giant sword of Yenjitsu, and AFO also took advantage of the situation to chase, and launched an air cannon with one hand. The giant sword of magma that was about to collapse, finally scattered into pieces after this air cannon, and large pieces of magma fell directly from the sky, embellishing the black ground. Put on some brilliance. It's useless. Seeing that one of his moves missed, Masato was not discouraged, and the backhand swept across with a big sword. This time the prepared AFO will naturally not be as embarrassed as before, and dozens of enhancements quirks used it. Without using the impact reversal, he even directly hit a tie with the Magma giant sword, and then the free hand added another punch to make. Yan Zhizou's huge sword and his entire arm were shattered. It's okay, Igarashi boy. All Might was also back on the battlefield at this time, looking at some fragmented Yan Zhizou, and said worriedly. Slowly retracting all the magma into his body, Masato's body is still intact, but his face is extremely ugly. At present, his strongest tactic is Yan Zhizou. When facing the League of Villains, he can be said to be crushing and pushing all the way. However, when facing AFO, he still lacks some strength. Ah, it's All Might, finally get rid of the annoying trash fish, are you ready to accept death? AFO is a little disdainful of All Might's behavior. In his opinion, these powerful heroes have no need to exist. AFO, even if my strength declines, I can kill you. The expression on All Might's face has become clear. He has just seen Best Jeanist's injury in a hurry. If the treatment is not timely, I am afraid that the hero's activity will not be possible. A young man with a promising future, maybe it was destroyed by AF-Zero's hands, turning all the anger in his heart into strength. Detroit Smash. Quote. With a roar, All Might came to AFO at a speed invisible to the naked eye, then folded his hands together and clenched his fists, smashed into the AFO's head. Heaven dog. At the same time that All Might launched the attack, Masato also launched the quirk, rushing from AFO's blind spot, and the crimson arm contracted in front of him, hoping to hurt him seriously with a single move. If AFO didn't react and took any of these two tricks, even if his physical condition was still good, he would definitely not be able to bear it. However, AFO seemed to have predicted the movements of All Might and Masato a long time ago. Without even lifting his head, he stretched out two hands in advance, and quickly added items such as explosive power and wrist strength enhancement to the hands. 1. Bone springing and other quirk. Boom. A huge roar rang through the audience, and the ruins at AFO's feet sank in an instant, forming a pit with a diameter of tens of meters. If All Might hadn't taken the wounded away just now, then they would definitely be injured again. As a result of the collision, Masato was repelled by the impact of the air cannon, and All Might's fist was directly pinched in the hands of AFO. The AFO, who resolved the attack by the two, did not have any strenuous expression on his face. Instead, he was full of joking, seeming to laugh at the ignorance and insignificance of the two. You know, although I still don't have eyes, you are extremely clear in my world. Grasping All Might's fist tightly in his hand, AFO twisted his body, and the huge power directly threw All Might, which was immobile in midair, into the air, smashing a big hole in the ground. The ultrasound of bats, the power of tigers, the flesh of rhinos, plus my countless quirk, now I am invincible. Hearing AFO Chi-Jong's speech, Masato and All Might couldn't help but have cold sweats on their heads. God knows how he fused so many animal genes into his body. The original PhD 4.8 only fused a few kinds. I couldn't bear it, and my body collapsed. Ultrasonic positioning. No wonder it seems that there are eyes on the back. With his lips turned away, Masato looked at him, although he was still a human form, but in essence, it was no longer a human AFO at all, and there was a chill in his heart. Speaking of which, 50-year-old student Lan, you are really annoying, even for me, Magma is very dangerous. Let's solve you first. As soon as the voice turned, AFO turned his head to Masato's side. The light words to him made Masato's heart startled. Then, a terrifying aura spread from AFO's body, like a huge wave. Pressed against him fiercely. I don't know if your body can recover after the magma goes out. Why don't you show it to me? Chapter 208 Crisis. Extinguished magma. Extinguish the magma. What does this guy mean? Hearing AFO's words, Jung was too alert and put on a fighting stance, looking at him with alert. Of course it's literal. With a cold smile, a foe's figure instantly disappeared in place, and appeared behind Masato in the next moment. Igarashi boy. All Might had just crawled out of the pit at this time and immediately reminded him of the missing AFO. Masato also felt the sound of the wind whistling in her ears, and with All Might's reminder, her whole body was elemental subconsciously, and the next moment AFO's fist struck, but it was empty. This is the moment waiting. The AFO who attacked the invalid words was not disappointed, on the contrary, as if his strategy had succeeded, a cold aura suddenly radiated from his hand, which was directly placed on the body of Masato who had turned into magma. Temperature absorption. I saw that his palm was covered with a layer of ice blue. After touching the magma, it was not scorched or melted, but the color of the magma suddenly dimmed. It's cold. Even if it becomes magma, Masato still feels that the temperature of the whole body has been taken away, and with the passage of time, his control over magma seems to be getting weaker and weaker. Damn it. At a glance, I saw the wrong All Might, and rushed at the speed of thunder at a point under my feet, and a huge mark was scratched on the ground behind, and I jumped to the front of AFO, and my fist slammed out. In the face of the attack, AFO grabbed Masato's arm and did not lower it. We'll lose combat effectiveness. Seeing this, All Might could only evade. After this raid failed, the two quickly fought together, but AFO always held Masato's body in one hand. The body is cold from the inside out, and the originally hot magma is about to solidify at this time, making Masato a little flustered. He is not sure if his body completely loses the temperature of the magma, whether it can be recombined. Numerous physical defensive quirks were used by AFO, and in conjunction with his impact reversal quirk, each of All Might's attacks had a reaction force falling on his fists and arms. In a short period of time, his arms were all red, which was a sign of extreme congestion. As time went by, Masada's heart continued to sink. The extreme cold caused his body to lose control. At this time, he couldn't even transform into a human form. It was completely a huge lava, and the surface of this lava had completely turned black, only the red light still existed inside. It flickered hard, his consciousness gradually blurred, and the current Masada was like a small boat on the sea, surrounded by violent storms and heavy waves. He could be subverted at any time. Go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep. Hold on, hold on, hold on. Two different voices constantly echoed in his mind, and his body was trembling hard, but his body was still cold. This feeling is simply more terrifying than overusing quirk. What's even more terrifying is that Masada can no longer feel it. The existence of the body. All Might, who was fighting with AFO on the side, also discovered the seriousness of the matter. Although he didn't know what would happen if the magma was completely extinguished, his intuition told him that it would definitely not be a good thing. However, a foe's physical condition is far stronger than he is now. Whether it is reaction power, pure physical power, or the ability to use quirk, it has stabilized his head, and now he is completely with a wealth of fighting experience. He constantly dodges AFO's attacks, and at the same time seeks out AFO's gaps and strikes back with his fists. After all, AFO has always relied on the powerful quirk and the diversification of quirk to fight. If he is close to the body to fight and fight, he is completely inferior to All Might. Boom boom boom. Every time the two collided, there was a deafening noise, and the battle between the two directly turned the ruins of a few hundred meters in radius into a flat ground. Even if All Might tried to avoid it, AFO still had a few punches on him. His body pained him every time, but the current situation was not the time for him to care about his body at all. It's useless, All Might. The AFO, who easily diffuses the All Might offensive, has a look of disappointment in his eyes. Even if you are injured, your strength should not be limited to this. Through the battle just now, I have confirmed one thing. Hearing this, All Might's face suddenly darkened, and his fists waved more quickly. Originally just confused, but now I can say with certainty that One for All is no longer in your body. Is it already air again? I'm afraid it's the kid in my hand. The fist suddenly went empty, and All Might sprinted one step at a time. Otherwise, how could this little devil's physical power be so powerful? It seems that you really entrusted OFA to a good target. You have already displayed such a powerful power at a young age. If you let him grow, maybe it will really fall into his hands. Without noticing the strangeness of All Might, AF0 said to himself, it's a pity, he is about to die in my hands now. Although I am a little unwilling, but in the choice of heirs, I admit that you are better. AFO completely misunderstood 373 Masada at this time. Because Masada had the existence of quirk, he did not think about the second quirk at all. The person who gives the quirk counts separately. Moreover, Masada's physical strength is obviously not the kind of quirk that only depends on an enhancement system. If you don't use quirk, AFO even feels that Masada's strength must be better than him. Therefore, apart from the statement that OFA is in Masada's body and has been activated by him, AFO can't think of other possibilities. Although I am a little lucky that AFO misunderstood his heir, because it also means that Midori Valley Izuku has not yet entered his sight, but All Might's mood has not improved. Because of Masada's growth, and his role in the future hero's society, it has far surpassed Izuku, who has just started. And now he is likely to fall. All Might, another special message for you. Looking at All Might, who was still resisting, AFO dodged and continued to chuckle. I also accepted an heir. His name is Tamura Shigaraki, and he is the 7th generation One for All. Owner of, grandson of Shimura Nana. The two people who were excited at the same time did not find that the lava that seemed to be extinguished suddenly came up with heat again. Chapter 209 Cat Play Mouse. What? All Might didn't expect that AFO would suddenly say such a bursting news. At this moment, there was a pause in the brain, and there was a gap in the original continuous attack. Seizing this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, AF0 attached several enhancement quirks to his hand, and quickly dodged in the shadow of the boxing. A punch hit All Might's abdomen and knocked him out. At the same time, he was in All Might. The moment he landed, he appeared behind him and punched again. You are talking nonsense. All Might, who was able to block the AFO attack, couldn't believe what he said, hissed loudly. HMPH, you know this is indeed what I would do, All Might. After all, I hate you so much. After knocking down my companions one by one to the ground with my fist, you chanted people and became a symbol of peace. Pretty magnificent. The attack on the hand did not stop. AFO continued, I have been thinking about things that can make you sick. I created the opportunity for you to meet the hanging, and you who are kept in the dark are your face. With the signature smile on the face, triumphantly criticizing, isn't this thing too wonderful? The current situation of the two of them is completely opposite to the previous one. All Might, which was actively attacking, has been completely passive. He kept dodging, unable to fight back at all. Where is your smile? What about the smile on your face no matter what you face? Seeing All Might's face with grief and anger and shock, AFO couldn't help being very excited, with a happy expression filling his face. It's really funny. I should have successfully snatched something from you. Obviously, the strongest hero is a symbol of peace, but even his master's grandson cannot guard it. This kind of plot really makes me happy. And now your heir is about to be ruined in my hands, and your own power is about to dissipate. What else can you leave behind, All Might? Unable to accept the facts, All Might's body was constantly being hit by AFO. If it weren't for AF0 that only used one hand, and wanted to see All Might's desperate expression for a while, All Might would definitely not be able to block them all. The people who had moved to the distance saw this scene with clenched fists. This was the first time they saw All Might in a state of desperation. No matter what happened in the past, everyone had to deal with it hastily, because as long as with All Might, everything can be easily solved, but now their mainstay is about to fall. Have you seen it? All Might was actually suppressed by the inexplicable villains. And there is only one person in the villains. In just a few minutes of battle, the entire sacred wilderness area was turned into ruins, which is simply letting people go. Unbelievable. The helicopter hovering above the battle area between the two people has been playing the scene at this time. People all over the country, no matter what they are doing, are all put down at this time and sit in front of the TV. When I saw All Might's body fighting hard, I sweated for him in my heart. As All Might hurt, look carefully at how miserably he was beaten. Is villains too active recently? To be honest, I think Hero SS attitude is indeed problematic, and I feel like being beaten up by villains all the time. What about other professional Hero S? No one has come forward. That's how it is said, but in the end All Might will still defeat villains. Similar words continue to pop up from people's hearts. After several actions of the League of Villains, society's trust in Hero S has been in jeopardy. If All Might falls again at this time, Hero S it's really over. Justice. Lugu and the others also watched the battle through the big screen in the center of the square. When they saw that Masato was grasped by AFO, they clenched their fists with gnashing teeth. Our strength in the past can only add trouble to them, and absolutely can't take action. Looking at Kirishima, who seemed to be stunned by anger, he quickly exuded a cold air to calm him down. The Hero S of so many professions just now are not an enemy of AFO, plus all are far stronger than them. Neither Might nor Masato are opponents, they will only be a drag in the past. In an ordinary apartment room, a computer screen, which is the only light source in the room, also played a scene of AFO and All Might fighting. Ha 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 ha. It's amazing, teacher, you must be very satisfied with this body. Hunter Nishio looked at AF0's body like a demon, and laughed enthusiastically. Are you going to defeat All Might in front of the whole country? Are you ready to end this society that trusts Hero S in one fell swoop? The condition of AFO's body is clear to Nishio Hunter, because it was under his research that AFO recovered its ability to sense the outside world, and healed his body injuries as before. He has thoroughly understood the information left by the doctor. It can be said that blue is better than blue. He could clearly see the mentality of his teacher at this moment. After all, AFO is now like a cat and a mouse. Every blow does not use his full strength. It only reduces All Might's physical strength and does not cause any substantial damage to him. I really don't know why the teacher valued the guy Shigemu so much. I can do better than him. Thinking of this, Nishio Hunt's face collapsed. Although he admires AFO very much, Nishio Hunter is still very puzzled about his vigorously cultivating Deadwood. In his opinion, Deadwood is just a young bird who has just started, even if it is possible that his plasticity is very high. But is it guilty to let yourself also assist him with all his strength? But these are no longer meaningful. All Might is no longer the teacher's opponent. The biggest potential crisis Igarashi Masato has also been solved. Now no one in the entire country is a teacher's opponent. The existence of Shigeki is also meaningless. Shi Good Jiao Jiao Wei Hunter's ordinary face once again showed a frantic smile. His eyes looked at the screen on the computer without blinking, and he stopped speaking. It looks very angry, All Might, but you should be reaching your limit, right? Seeing All Might's strenuous appearance, AFO directly threw a punch. Although it was blocked, the huge force still knocked him back. Call. Standing up straight, All Might gritted his teeth. At this time, half of his face had begun to look like a thin version. His activity time was 3 hours, but under this kind of high-intensity battle, he maintained the time for this appearance has been greatly shortened, and now he has reached the limit. Just when AFO was about to chase, a burning sensation suddenly came from his hand, and he looked at his grasping Masato's arm in surprise, only to see the lava that had been dim before, and at this time, there was an amazing flame again. Chapter 210 The King Wakes Up. Just as AFO and All Might were fighting, Junga also resisted in the cold. Sleeping. This kind of thought flashed in Masato's heart. Perhaps for others, this kind of situation that is really unsustainable, give up if you can't hold on. After all Might has come, just leave it to him. But for Masato, it won't work. If he sleeps here, will he not wake up anymore because of this? In addition, once he bows to this cold and bows to AF0, then he will no longer have the possibility of reaching the peak. Now, as the strongest person, how can you surrender to others, even if that is the strongest person in this era? In this lifetime, he must climb to the top and overlook all sentient beings. Silent shouts rang out in Masato's heart. His body no longer trembles, his body's sensation suddenly returned to his control, a powerful aura erupted from his body, and the flames gradually extinguished from his body, and then it became vigorous once. The black lava on the body seemed to have been impacted. It turned into fly ash in an instant, revealing the slowly flowing golden lava inside. 377 seemed to interpret the unwillingness and anger in Masada's heart, and it was restless. Gushing. At this moment, heaven and earth faded. At this moment, the new king has awakened. It is different from the aura that was released in the co-campus and the bar before. This time, Masada's spirit has actually affected the surrounding environment. The gravel on the ground seemed to be shocked by the invisible force, all floating slightly in the air, and the devastated ground cracked again. The AFO closest to Masada even felt a series of scratches on the special metal mask. Boom boom boom. There was a sound of falling to the ground, and the surrounding professional hero, the police, and Gran Torino who wanted to come to help, fell to the ground one by one, and finally stood awake on the ground. Only AFO remained. With all might. At this time, Masada was also out of the control of AFO's ice blue palm, and the golden lava fell to the ground again, like a newborn, forming Masada's body. Gasping for breath, Masada only feels that his brain has been pierced by countless needles, and the unstoppable tingling makes him unable to concentrate at all. If he is in the past, he can't control himself at all. Body, but now he has easily maintained his body shape without letting his body collapse into magma. Silence was silent, and the battlefield was as quiet as stagnant water. All Might's mouth grew wide, and he looked at Masada who was holding his head with a dull face. He never expected that Masada could suddenly erupt in desperate situation, and directly broke free of the restraints. Using his powerful aura and domineering courage, he was too shocked by AFO. There was a momentary blank in his mind, which made AFO's mood not very good. At this time, his heart was still beating frantically, and a trace of sweat was left under the metal mask. How many years no one has been able to exert pressure on oneself? Not even All Might. What kind of power is this? Looking at the palm of his hand, the color of the ice cold before has faded, replaced by a red. Even with the opening degree of his quirk, there is an upper limit to the temperature that can be absorbed, and this is the proof that his quirk has reached the limit. Ah, what kind of power is it? I don't know it very well either. He shook his head vigorously, as if to shake the pain in his head. Masada responded casually. The sudden awakening of this momentum made Masada feel that the whole person was different. He can clearly feel that a new force in his own body has awakened. Looking at the AFO standing still, Masada grinned and said, "Thank you. If it weren't for you, I didn't know I had this kind of power." Speaking of it, AFO is really the lucky star of Masada, CDEI. The first encounter made Masada awakened elemental. The second time was this time. It made Masada awaken with a majestic aura. Whether it was which ability is a huge boost to his strength, but the price is a bit dangerous. Humph. AFO's original tone was light and windy, but at this time he had disappeared without a trace. At this time, he was extremely angry, and he was actually oppressed by the aura of a high school student. This is an insult to him. Only All Might is qualified to be his opponent. He stretched out his fingers in the air for a few clicks like lightning, and a huge sonic boom sounded. The speed of AFO's hand turned out to have exceeded the speed of sound, and several air bullets that formed a substance quickly flew toward Masada. Hey, if you change to the previous self, Masada might still panic, because the pain of the brain will prevent him from accurately elementizing, but now everything is different. Bew, 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 quote. There was no time for people to react, and the air bullet hit the body of Masada, making holes in his body. Do you only have this trick? There was golden lava flowing from the hole in his body, and Masada looked at AFO with a funny expression. After the mutation just now, Masada's body seems to have made another breakthrough. In his own feeling now, elementalization seems to have become an instinct. There is no need for it to be activated by hitting energy, and it takes a lot of effort. With great physical strength, he is now truly integrated with magma. The thick magma instantly filled all the holes in the body. Feeling that there was still a sense of weakness in the body, Masada stood up. Come on, continue to absorb the temperature of my body. See if I won't blow you up. Opening his hands, Masada just faced AFO unguardedly, with a sarcasm smile at the corner of her mouth, as if mocking his weakness. You little one. Being provoked by Masada again and again, the anger in AFO's heart has broken through the sky, and at this time, he left All Might directly, and directed at Masada at a point. Twist and Bones Clockwork Explosive Power X4, Arm Strength Enhancement X3, Hypertrophy Temperature Absorption Ice. In an instant, a foe's right hand expanded a few times, and dense ice thorns appeared on it, and icy cold air emerged from it. I see how you can block me. In an instant, the AFO, who was originally more than 10 meters away from Masada, came to him, raised this cold arm and hit Masada fiercely. It looks like this is a duel between magma and ice. Feeling the chill on her skin, Masada not only didn't feel like being frozen, but felt that her body was boiling, and the blood in her body could not stop surging. Just to my liking. Chapter 211 You Can't Compare to Me. The terrifying cold air continued to gush out from AFO's arms, and spread to the surroundings at a crazy speed. With his body as the center, the space of tens of meters in radius was almost instantly covered by ice. And his arm is getting bigger and bigger in this cold air, like a white wave, easily swallowing any objects that interfered in front of him, and smeared a frosty coldness, and Masada was also in it. Knowing that Masada can be elementalized, AFO no longer hopes to use his fist to break him. That is just useless, so he chose to use the cold that is opposed to magma, hoping to completely destroy Masada. Freeze. The crystal clear ice, like a greedy vine, crazily climbed up Masada's calf, and in a blink of an eye it had reached his waist. It's interesting. With a light smile, facing the bitter cold that AFO uses, facing the ice that is about to freeze himself, facing the ice arm that is getting closer and closer, Jungtai finally shot. Scorching hell. The voice of a chuckle sounded, and Masada burst into a blazing heat that could not be described in words, boiling golden magma, engulfing everything at a speed faster than the freezing of AFO. The indestructible ice melts easily at a speed visible to the naked eye. It melts into water vapor in just a few breaths, and after a few breaths, the water vapor also turns into nothingness in the high temperature. Not only that, when the huge wave of magma collided with a foe's fist, it did not form a situation of opposing each other, but the magma fell on one side and swallowed the ice, pushing AFO's body continuously back. How is it possible? This temperature, even if the quirk is fully operated and the ice and temperature absorption are used to the extreme, AFO still feels that the skin on his body is about to be scorched, and even white steam is coming out of it, which is that his quirk is about to be unable to maintain sign. Some people couldn't believe it. AFO kept maintaining his body temperature, and sent out huge air cannons to make magma holes one after another, but facing the endless golden magma, it didn't seem to be enough to see. Like the ocean, the magma gushing out of Masada has surrounded the AFO inside, forming a huge magma ball, which keeps rotating in place. As long as it is slightly damaged, there will be more magma to fill it up. AFO was trapped inside. Nothing is impossible. Your level of development of these quirks is too shallow. Standing outside, manipulating the magma with his hands stretched out, he said easily, the really powerful people are not the kind that rely on quirk stacking to be strong. Just develop a quirk to the extreme, and you can show infinite strength. Your ice, whether in terms of temperature or range, is far inferior to my magma. It's just farting. How can I get so many quirks than you, a kid who was just a little lucky? Jungtai's words directly stimulated AFO, causing him to directly give up his defense and become completely angry. A giant ice gun tens of meters long condensed from his hand. Even in the magma sea package, it exudes with the color of the surrounding magma has dimmed. Holding this huge ice gun, AFO stabbed fiercely towards the lava sea in front of him. The huge volume made it pierce the encircling circle at once, and then pierced towards Masada. Useless. Looking at the spearhead in front of him, which was far bigger than his own, he shook his head calmly. Since yours is a giant ice gun, then I will use a lava gun. Choosing to defeat the opponent where he is best, Masada also condensed a large magma gun the same size as the ice gun in AFO's hand, and then threw it out. The tips of the two big guns collided and aroused a huge wave of air. Crack. Unexpectedly, and as expected, Masada's magma spear instantly smashed a foe's ice spear, and after consuming most of its power, the shrunken lava spear still flew forward. It stuck in the palm of AFO. What? Even AFO could not help but scream in pain when his palm was severely injured, and because he had given up his defense before, there are burns everywhere now, but under the quirk of his speeding regeneration he is quickly healed. ... Beg for flowers. It's really long lost pain. The palm of his hand turned into ice blue, and he grabbed the lava gun in the other palm and pulled it out. A foe's voice came out of the smoke. There are stripes of orange patterns. Sure enough, it's not human. Seeing the pattern on AFO's body resembling tiger fur stripes, Masada made a look of vomiting, constantly stimulating AFO's mind. However, All Might, who was standing not far away, showed a solemn look, because he knew very well that these injuries caused by Masada were the same as those caused by AF0. They only consumed AFO's physical strength and were not practical damage. Really powerful. All Might has to say that you have found a great heir. AFO straightened the metal mask on his face and fixed it to death. He possesses super regenerative properties. Unless he is stunned, or his brain is completely destroyed, only the old wound on his face can be called. It's a weakness. Although the hidden injuries in his body have been almost eliminated, he still needs to use this mask to breathe. If this mask is destroyed, no matter how many quirks he has, he will only faint. Fortunately, this metal mask was made by him at a great price. Even if he was bathed in lava just now, it was not damaged at all, it was just a little reddish in color. Igarashi boy, you leave here quickly, let me take care of this guy. All Might saw Masada standing in place, with no intention of leaving, gritted his teeth and once again posed a fist gesture. The white steam on his body has become more and more, and the golden rabbit is erected on his forehead. One ear dropped. What are you talking nonsense? With your current state, let me do it. My current state is unexpectedly good. Masada naturally noticed the state of All Might. The Silver Age battle suit on his body was already in tatters, with large and small wounds all over his body, and blood was flowing from the corners of his mouth. Anyone who saw it would feel distressed. This is the first time All Might has shown such a bad appearance in front of everyone since his debut. The symbol of peace must not fall at this time. Chapter 212 Suppress. Keep your last strength, All Might. He turned his head back and gave him a relieved smile, and he clenched his fist too tightly and rushed to the AFO. Masada's fist, based on the lethality of the body alone, may be more powerful than All Might. This man's power is already extremely amazing. The magma has given him a terrifying explosive power like a volcanic eruption, plus the high density of magma. The hardness that it brings, the temperature of its own, it can be said that if it is hit on a person, a punch will be a big hole. For the average person, it is desperately powerful. However, AFO is obviously not in the ranks of ordinary people. For temperature, he can use ice and temperature absorption to offset it, and he has a variety of enhancement quirks, so that his power is not weaker than Jung, even some vaguely beyond him. Don't be too arrogant, kid. After the metal mask, he roared in anger. AF 0 inches 37 chi. S arms expanded several times, and a teleport appeared behind Jung Tai and hit it hard. You got it. AF 0, who poured his own power into this punch, directly beat the Masada into a mess. However, this Masada turned into golden magma and shattered on the ground, while the real Masada was it formed quickly from the ground behind AFO, and the golden arm plunged straight into AFO's shoulder. Ha ha ha, I didn't expect you to bleed too. Looking at the blood on her fist that had turned into steam, Masada's face had a surprised expression. I thought you were invincible. Damn it. The AFO, who found that he had been deceived by Masada, had a low voice as if water was dripping out, and a surging flame suddenly curled up in his hands. Your heart is messed up, AFO. In the high-temperature flame, Masada not only showed no pain, but enjoyed it. Pulling the corners of his mouth, Jung laughed too loudly. I'm a little flattered. Now even the temperature of Endeavor's flame is nothing too good, not to mention the flame of AF0 whose temperature is only comparable to that of Chabi, but the strong impact brought by the flame made him sway. Aren't you afraid of fire? Seeing that his attack did not work, AFO's head sank slightly. Such an ability. For AFO, Masada is like a bone gangrene. No matter what method he uses, he can't cause effective damage. Freezing, flame, direct attack, various methods can be immune to Masada. And Masada's attack, if it hits him, will consume his own physical strength, and if one is accidentally beaten to the point, it may also cause serious consequences. How do you feel? My ability is simply your natural enemy. The surging magma extinguished all the flames on his body, and licked the remaining magma on his mouth. Masada actually felt that the taste was unexpectedly good, the temperature was moderate, and it was very viscous. If you had to describe it, it was like the same as sesame paste with sugar. The voice didn't have a hint of temperature, and AFO snorted coldly. You really dare to say it, you kid. Because, when I interrupted AFO directly, I was smiling too much, and the lava on my body rose to the sky. Swish, the figure wrapped in golden lava broke through the flames of AF0 and rushed directly towards him. I'm super strong. Boom. The fiery fist blasted heavily on AFO's body, and the speed that Masada showed at this time made AFO somehow unable to react. Boom. The extremely violent power directly destroyed AFO, causing him to crash into the building behind him, and the building was turned into ruins. The terrifying power was undoubtedly revealed, and there was a deep place where Masada's fist was in contact with his body. In the depression, there is magma attached to it, constantly eating away the flesh and blood of AFO. Do you understand a little bit now? I'm different from just now. Now it's my turn to beat you down. He was laughing too big. After a breakthrough just now, he had gained a great enhancement in all aspects, not only in the control of magma, but also in his strength and speed. What an arrogant kid. AFO's voice came out of the ruins, and then a huge air wave directly blew the bricks away, revealing his figure. The injuries on his body have all healed, but he looks a little embarrassed. Continue. Masada was not discouraged when he saw this, although he didn't know where his upper limit was, but if it was just such a rhythm, Masada felt that he could fight for a long time. Turned into a golden figure, Masada's legs were flowing hot lava, and the spewing magma was like a volcano, accumulating power, and with a whip leg, he drew towards the AFO. Don't give me a piece of paper. With a roar, AFO's arms quickly swelled, wrapped in the cold air, and greeted him. Boom. The terrifying explosion was suddenly excited, and everything around was swallowed by golden lava, melting rapidly in the terrifying temperature. Responds quickly. Obviously, AFO has adapted to Masada's speed at this time, and being able to take over this ferocious whip is the best proof. The corner of his mouth was hooked, Masada's body twisted in midair, and the other leg was drawn toward AFO's head like a whirlwind. Boom. Raising his hands quickly, AFO once again blocked Masada's attack, and the strong shock wave spread in the place where the two met. However, because both of his arms were free to resist, a flaw was directly exposed in his chest. Masada's body was spinning again, and his powerful fist hit his chest, causing him to be blown away again. Go out. Hey, what's wrong with you? Laughing loudly, Masada's toes touched the ground, and huge cobweb-like cracks appeared on the ground. Like a missile, Masada's body shot out and directly caught up with the flying AFO. AFO. Quote. Under the influence of the magma propelling force, Masada directly smashed AFO's forehead with a punch. Although it is invisible, the response of AFO with ultrasonic induction is not 4.8, which is unpleasant. With a heavy foot on the ground, the tendency to retreat is instantly stopped. One hand is also a powerful punch. It is the same result as Gang-O again. What a tough guy. Even if Masada has no weaknesses in the face of AFO now, it is still not an easy task to defeat him. This guy, although he is not rich in fighting experience, relies on his countless quirks, and that is not human at all. I had a fight with Masada. However, I seem to have discovered your weakness. Master Boss. Without continuing to attack, Masada stopped and looked at the AFO, who was still blocking his metal mask with his arm. You seem to be particularly concerned about your metal mask. Chapter 213 Route. Hearing Masada's words, the face under AFO's mask suddenly changed. The defensive action just now was too obvious, and Masada had already noticed it. Hey, I guess I was right. Seeing AFO's stupefied figure, Masada knew that he was right. No matter how he attacked him before, AFO did not deliberately defend, instead he would use offense to offset his attack, but as long as it involves with his head, he will give up offense and switch to defense. Disappear for me. It was said that AFO was weak, and he screamed in a hurry and slammed towards Masada. Seeing this, Masada's mouth grinned. People will always make some wrong judgments under the condition of impetuous mood. Even AFO can't avoid this. When attacking, the strength is the strongest, but at the same time, it is also the weakest time. Facing the fist that AFO blasted over, Masada just turned sideways gently and escaped his heavy blow. 23 inches what? Masada seems to be able to feel that AFO has such emotions at this time, and such a close attack can still fail. In fact, Masada himself didn't know why he could avoid it. He just felt the movement of the airflow, and then intuitively told him which direction his body should avoid. He just followed his own mind. Fly. Lifting his knees heavily, Jungtai directly kicked AFO up into the sky. I'll make you feel good. With a wild laugh, when Masada's legs were exerted force, the person was already soaring into the sky. Boom. The magma gushed on his body, and then, kept shrinking towards Masada's right hand, kept condensed and rotated, and finally turned into a magma ball that was almost white in color and dazzling to the extreme. Apollo. The body has come to the sky above the AFO, Masada's palm is holding this small ball tightly, and what is contained in it is the extreme explosive power and the extremely high temperature. Turning into a phantom, Masada pressed the ball against AFO's body fiercely. Unfortunately, because one arm of AFO protected his face to death, the other arm was also attacking him, making Masada the attack as impossible to start. Humph. A little irritable, Jung stared too fiercely, the momentum contained in his body gushed out again, being manipulated by Jungtai, and rushed towards the AFO fiercely. There was a blank again in his mind, and his hand movement was also caused by this. AFO's defense made a mistake in an instant, and of course Masada would not let this opportunity pass. The small ball in his hand finally hit AFO's body, and Julie let the magma ball adhered to him, and fell quickly from the air with him. Boom. In the surprised eyes of All Might below, the small magma ball spread out the moment it touched the AFO, turning into a white magma vortex and engulfing the AFO inside. The terrifying temperature enveloped AFO's whole body. Even with the quirk of temperature absorption and ice, he could not be completely spared from the disaster. The screams came out of his mouth, and even the Dark Emperor like AFO screamed painfully. The voice, one can imagine what kind of pain he is facing. Although there is a quirk of speeding regeneration, the burns on his body are constantly healing, but it is completely inferior to the speed at which the body is destroyed. The white lava directly melted the ground, leading his body toward the deeper ground. Boom. There was a huge tremor on the ground. Everyone in the entire area seemed to feel that an earthquake was coming. They squatted on the ground and hugged their heads, and the place where the AFO fell was formed a large pit tens of meters deep. Along with the vibration, there was also a hot air wave. The hot wind blew away all the rubble and dust around, leaving only a clean but devastated ground. All Might, who had been watching the battle on the ground, slammed his legs into the ground fiercely before stabilizing his figure. When he saw this scene, his eyes widened and his face was full of disbelief. He really couldn't think of it. Jungtae was able to issue such an attack. The helicopter that has been staying in high-altitude aerial photography is constantly rotating by this air wave, and finally stabilized the fuselage under the superb technology of the pilot, while the reporter who has been broadcasting the battle scene is at this time. Can't say anything. The people all over the country in front of the TV screen, and his performance was like a withdrawal, they were all dumbfounded, watching this natural disaster-like scene. Lugu, Hong and others are even more serious. They know that the person fighting with AFO is Masada. Before, he was still worried about Masada. They did not expect that Masada would be like knocking medicine in the next second, and there was a gorgeous reaction. Turn, directly beat the enemy's big boss to the ground. He lifted his quirk in the air, and Masada let his body fall to the ground, arousing a large amount of smoke, and came to the pit that he had created, and Masada looked down. AFO was already lying motionless in a piece of magma. Seeing this, he leapt too hastily and lifted him from inside. Zizi, although he didn't hit the mask, he survived under Apollo. Shouldn't it be said that he is no longer human? Carrying the AFO who has lost consciousness in his hand, Jung is too screaming and wondering. Yes, at this time AF0, although the breath is weak, but still alive, the body with various 377 genes mixed together, the vitality is so powerful. Well, it's not bad to be alive, so that I won't bear the name of murder. Although I wanted to make up for him, I thought that there was a helicopter on his head, and Masada gave up the idea. After all, in this society, heroes can't kill people at will, and the guidance of the fishing boat is very scary. Moreover, I am afraid that the injury he caused to AFO this time is already irreparable. Even if he has speeding regeneration, he will not be able to regenerate. A large number of organs have been burned. I am in a coma again. Wait until he can use quirk to recover his body. At the time, the body was already in a disabled state. Even if he can make a comeback, Masada believes that at that time, he can still defeat him. This is an unfounded confidence in his heart. However, Masada didn't know. Now everyone doesn't care if Villains is dead, but is paying attention. This broke into the battlefield and fought a terrifying battle with AF0, and gave him a complete defeat to the mysterious man, who is on the ground. You know, All Might was at a disadvantage just now. Ahem, Igarashi boy, how are you now? Seeing Masada return to the ground, AFO seemed to lose the ability to fight. All Might slowly walked up. Chapter 214 This World Needs Heroes. Taking a look at the AFO who looked like a dead dog, All Might didn't say anything. He would not be naive to sympathize with AFO. Even 5 years ago, he shot with the idea of killing AFO. In the battle of life and death, it was impossible to keep his hands, but even so, AFO was allowed to escape. And it brought him great pain. Of course it's okay, I am in a pretty good state now. Although the previous body was a bit weak, after the breakthrough, the power seemed to gradually return. Masada only felt that there was a steady flow of power in his body at the time. Although the Apollo just now condensed almost all of his power, it's okay to stand like this. Seeing Masada's expression did not seem to be fake, All Might didn't ask too much. After all, the biggest villains had been defeated. Even if Masada had no fighting ability at this time, there was no danger. Okay, then Igarashi boy. After taking a big breath, All Might's thin body suddenly changed back to a strong appearance in a puff of white smoke. One stepped to Masada's side, grabbed his arm, and raised it high. Come on, show your brilliance to the world and make a victory gesture. Just like All Might's actions after defeating villains in the past, the gesture of raising the arms represents victory. Facing the powerful villains, the heroes are still not afraid of sacrifice, fighting bravely, and finally winning. The symbol of peace has not fallen after the hard battle, but beside him is a brand new figure. All Might and this unknown hero won the final victory. The reporter on the helicopter finally remembered his responsibilities at this time, and shouted at the camera with tears and excitement, "Did you see it? This battle has gone through for so long, even the entire sacred area has become ruins, but the villains that caused this incident has fallen, and the heroes who won the final victory." The image of the camera also revolved with the reporter's voice, and gave a close-up of the two people standing on the ground, arms raised, faces full of confident smiles, and two equally strong bodies, which made people naturally full of hearts. A sense of security. Feeling the camera aimed at him, Masada raised his head high, and the corners of his mouth opened a radiant. This world needs heroes. Oh. This picture and this sentence quickly appeared on all TV stations across the country. People who have been watching the final result uttered cheers from the heart. At this time, we shed tears, and no one will laugh at you, because, when you take a closer look, everyone is full of tears. All Might won't fail, and the captain of the Special Operations team, he is really strong. The final blow directly defeated villains. Nomu has also been wiped out by the professional heroes led by Endeavor. At this time, the police and professional heroes are also discussing the scenes on the big screen. Lugu and Bang are naturally no exception. Even Bakugo, who looks too unpleasant, has a faint smile on the corners of his mouth. Although there were many twists and turns during the battle, there was a period of time when they thought that All Might and Masada were about to fail. But the final result is still very happy. Call. Yaoyorozu Baihei Cha-Cha also kept watching Masada in front of the TV at home. When Masada was captured by AFO, and the color continued to darken, their hearts almost jumped into their throats because of tension. The horror of AFO's body, the breath, they can feel it even through the screen, and at this time they finally understand why they are too dead and alive to not let them participate in the action. NS. Wait for Jungma to get home, please do him a good job. After taking a long breath, Yaoyorozu decided to give him a celebration banquet. After such a big battle, Masada must be exhausted now. At this time, a celebration banquet that can vent the stress and fatigue in the heart is definitely the most suitable. At this time, the police had arrived at the battle site and began to search and rescue people in the field, and the professional heroes who were still able to act also participated. Although their combat effectiveness is not very strong, they can't help Masada and All Might at all, but for this kind of post-processing, they are expert in one by one, and it is estimated that 10 Masada cannot match. And the rest of the professional heroes who were free at home, were also called to the scene by an emergency call to help with the aftermath. The Kanye district is really too big. It is impossible to rely on the police and heroes here alone. Quickly complete the aftermath. The dying AFO was handed to the police officer in the mound, and he was taken into a special container. Masada's work was over, and he had no strength on his body, and he did not want to participate in the cumbersome search and rescue work, directly with the mound. The police officer greeted him and left the scene with All Might, who had also reached the limit. Although the surrounding reporters had smelled the breath, and rushed up like mad dogs to get first-hand information, under the escort of the police, the two of them escaped the encirclement easily. It seems that my identity must be exposed this time. Sitting in the police car, I stretched too comfortably, and said to All Might, who had returned to his skinny appearance. After all, it seems that you are the only one who can use Magma, Igarashi boy. All Might, who was sitting in the back seat with him, said helplessly, although he felt that Masada, who was still a student, was too early to be exposed to everyone's eyes, because it meant that Masada was going to be like him and would be caught when he went out. Crowd and sign, and reporters will always stare at you and don't give you any free time. But there is no other way. Looking at it from another angle, this is also a good thing. The emergence of Masada can also give a stimulus to a society that has already been panicked by some people, so that heroes can regain the trust of the people. But the problem shouldn't be big. For your protection, the government is likely to minimize your credit, so that you can reduce your influence and will not affect your daily life. This is also the answer Masada most wants to hear. He doesn't want to have a large number of paparazzi behind him when he is dating Bayu Cha-Cha. Wouldn't he have no personal life at all by then? And because Masada was directly incorporated into the operatives this time, even if he fights without a hero's license, he will not cause any good money fishing boats, because this is completely in line with the law. The rightful behavior. Because of your appearance, the spark of one for all has not been completely extinguished in my body, but it is also time for me to retire. Looking out of the car window, All Might's sunken eyes revealed a trace of fatigue. After being a symbol of peace for so many years, he was finally able to stop and rest. Haha, All Might, don't retire so easily. As if he understood what he was thinking in his heart, Masada half-joked and said, Shongying is indispensable for you as a teacher. And, Lugu, you must not be relieved. If you don't train him into a qualified successor, how can you retire? Hearing Masada's words, the fatigue in All Might's eyes was wiped out in an instant, replaced by a renewed light. Ah, Igarashi boy, you are right, I am not old enough to retire. The hearty laughter came from the police car, drifting away in the night. Chapter 215. The end of the beginning of the end. The end of the beginning is also the beginning of the end. The Battle of Kamiya is now over, but this story tells everyone that the battle between professional heroes and villains has just begun. TV and newspapers tirelessly reported all the details that happened that day, and various experts also jumped out, fighting for every controversial point with red ears and even fighting. Needless to say, the online forums and post bars have the latest posts all the time, discussing the gains and losses of this battle, and the heat related to it even surpassed the US presidential election. The reason for all this phenomenon comes from the three characters in this war: the former Dark King AFO, the symbol of peace All Might, and the mysterious hero S. Yes, the identity of Masada was not disclosed to the outside world. After negotiation between the police and Masada, it was decided to temporarily hide it from the public, and wait until Masada officially embarks on the journey of professional hero S and then give him a fierce momentum. Of course, this can only deceive the public. There are many people who know that this mysterious hero S is Masada. The current Masada seems to have become a celebrity in the professional hero S circle. No matter where he goes, he is treated by the hero S with smiles. They have also sent out invitations, hoping that he can go to his hero S after graduation. S firm, and open to superior to unimaginable conditions. However, Masada relentlessly rejected such invitations. He was planning to establish the hero S office by himself, and there were several members of the foundation. Under the constant digging of crazy reporters, a foe's horrible past was also exposed. Only then did people know why even All Might could not easily take him, and after that, the heart gave birth to even more. Fortunately, there is such a dangerous villains beside him. Fortunately, he was defeated. While the media praised All Might and Masada upside down, All Might himself also held a press conference and appeared with his real appearance, announcing that his body has reached its limit. Starting today, say goodbye to the Hero S event. Although the Mars of OFA was not completely extinguished due to Masada's exaggerated performance, the number of times it can be used is also very few. Fortunately, All Might took this opportunity to let go of the burden on his body and decided to start his own education career with peace of mind. On the face of it, the government claimed that this action destroyed the nest of villains and wiped out the Nomu warehouse. The leader behind villains was also arrested, which seems to be a big gain for professional hero S. Win all. However, only those who really participated in this battle knew that their action this time was far from a victory. The main members of the League of Villains, including Tamura Shigaraki, were rescued by AFO in advance, and the huge amount of CDEI Nomu that appeared at that time was not capable of being produced by a Nomu factory. This proves that villains there is more than one Nomu warehouse. Moreover, the cost of arresting AFO is that Hero S has lost the most powerful pillar, All Might, which can only be regarded as a draw. Besides, there are still a large number of professional Hero S who were seriously injured in the battle. The Hero S activity could not be carried out in a short time, not to mention the No. 4 explosive Bull King and Ragdoll Cat. The two of them almost ended their careers. This is the price we have long relied on All Might. Inside the government building, an official said distress-edly, now everyone knows that the once invincible symbol of peace no longer exists. This is the same for the citizens and villains. To be honest, I didn't expect that a group of mobs gathered together to achieve this level. Another official also said that in their initial analysis, Deadwood was defined as the existence of a giant baby, but after repeated actions, Deadwood's criminal plan has become more refined. It has become a malignant tumor that can affect society. When the teacher he has always relied on goes to a far distance that he can't reach, he will gather a stronger hatred and will truly stand at the forefront of the team. This is what they worry about the most. If the Deadwood turns all these experiences, hatred and regrets into nourishment, the consequences will be immeasurable. Fortunately, the new generation has also grown up. This time it can be seen that Igarashi Masada has the potential to surpass All Might. This is a blessing in misfortune. Up to now, the police can no longer be the villain's detention commissioner in people's mouth. Reform is necessary. The parliamentarian sitting on the main seat set the tone for today's meeting. The villains is constantly expanding, and the police cannot sit still. At this moment, in a hospital in Shenyei district. So my body is all right at all, it's just that I am a little weaker, and I just need to sleep. In the ward, Jungtai stretched out a big lazy waist and tore off the bandages that were wrapped around him. It's All Might, you have to heal your injuries. It is now the morning of the third day. After a big battle, he came to the hospital to bandage the wound. Masada fell on the chuang and fell asleep deeply. When he woke up, he found that the days had passed. All day long, compared with a lively dragon, who is swallowing food and replenishing energy, All Might is more miserable. His body is also covered with bandages. Like the USJ's Aizawa-sensei, he has become a mummy. Fortunately, his injuries have been effectively dealt with, and he will not be left with disabilities. He is still in a good spirit. The police officer in the mound sat on the edge of the hospital bed with a tired face, thick dark circles under his somewhat dull eyes, and his chin was also full of scum. The most difficult thing is their police. Not only do they have to deal with the fishing boats outside, but also help deal with the large ruins of the sacred and wild area. The rescue of the people is also within their scope of responsibility. It seems that Hero S is simply easy. Too much. He is also busy now, making a special trip to visit All Might and Masada. He also hopes to take this opportunity to let himself rest for a while after not closing his eyes for 2 days. Apart from the cooperation on the job, he and All Might are also good friends, so it is a reasonable decision for the police to send him over to give condolences. Before I completely withdraw from the Hero S stage, there's one more thing that is not done. Looking at his bandaged arm, All Might whispered, "You mean Tamura Shigaraki, Shimura's grandson?" Hanging a cane, all the uninjured Grant Linuo eyes slightly raised and their expressions were serious because they were not involved in the battle. These are all side words of that guy. There shouldn't be any credibility. Keeping his head a little bit, the police officer in Tsukauchi, who was about to fall asleep, also cheered up at this time and issued his own suggestions. All Might, there is no communication between you and the family of the previous generation OFA. The Masada who buried her head in the food also became interested. This is a little secret, and most people can't hear it. After her husband was killed, Shimura sent him to the world of Hero S in order to keep the child away from Hero S and even said to Junnori and me, even if I encounter an accident, please don't go to him in this case. The old antique Gran Torino confided in the past and silenced the atmosphere for an instant. The agreement with the deceased had a counterproductive effect. Shaking his head, the police officer in the mound sighed and said, "It's really hard to let go of it." The teacher reluctantly said goodbye to him in order to give him a stable life, but now, "I must find the dead wood, and then remove him." Weak and firm words came out of All Might's mouth, and the clenched fist represented his inner entanglement. "No," Gran Torino interrupted him decisively, "what will happen after I find it? Regardless of his origin, he is now a criminal. Now you can no longer treat him as a villain. I also think, All Might, you better not go to him." Masada's voice came over, "Leave me the question about the dead handle wood. All Might, you better relax." Chapter 216 Go Home. By the way, Igarashi, do you have the will to become a symbol of peace for the next generation? Hearing Masada's words, the police officer in the mound asked him with a smile on his face, but inside the police station, he was very optimistic about him from top to bottom, and thought he had this qualification. Symbol of peace. When All Might heard this title that was once his own, his expression was a bit complicated. The reason why he stood up at the beginning was because it was a shortcut that can quickly quell social turmoil, but now it seems that everything is maintained. A person's body is really not a long-term way. To be honest, he is unwilling to appear the next symbol of peace, not only Masada, but also LVGU. This, of course I don't want to. Just like All Might thought, after all, they had discussed this issue before, and Jung did not hesitate to express his attitude. I think I am not as selfless as All Might. This burden may not be suitable for me. I honestly expressed my inner thoughts and shook my fingers too. After all, I only care about my family and friends. Although this is a bit awkward, it is my answer. After hearing Masada's words, the Tsukauchi police officer also nodded. Although he really hopes that Masada can stand up at this important juncture, if he does not want to, the police will not force it. After all, they are not wasteful enough to pin all their hopes on a high school student. After having a big meal in the hospital, Masada got on the train to go home. Although the phone was passed on the night of the battle, her parents must still be very worried about her. "I am back, Masada sauce." As soon as he opened the door, Masada's mother rushed forward and kept checking on him for injuries. "How about, there is no injury, right? If there is no external injury, what about an internal injury?" Looking at her nervous mother, she smiled helplessly. Although others might not know that it was him who was fighting AFO, his parents must have known it. They could recognize the familiar figure on the TV screen at a glance. "Don't worry, when did you see me suffering such a serious injury? This time it was just overconsumption. Now I have fully recovered." Speaking of this, Junga also bulged up his majestic muscles to show his strength. Puff. There was a sudden chuckle from the sofa, which made Masada cast his eyes over. Why are you here? The one sitting on the sofa is amazingly Baihei Cha-Cha. Cha-Cha is okay to say here, but Yaoyoro Zubai, who has just passed the co-stabling incident, shouldn't be in his own home. Of course I rushed over here when I heard that you were going home today. With hands on hips, Yaoyorozu said triumphantly, "Today, Cha-Cha and I are going to give you a celebration banquet. After all, you are a great hero s." Ha ha, I smiled embarrassingly. It's okay to hear this kind of thing from the TV, but it's really a shame to be told face to face. I really don't know how All Might endured this kind of public execution. Yes, tonight we will go to Xiao Baibai's house for dinner together, and your classmates will come too. Masada's mother repeatedly confirmed that Masada's body was not abnormal, and she also recovered the appearance of smiling Mimi. She put her hands together and said, "If we are in our house, the place is too small, which is really distressing." Quote, "It's okay, no problem." With a wave of his hand, Masada said that this kind of thing doesn't matter at all, it's all my own, don't be so polite. Seeing Jungta actually joking about herself in front of his mother, Yaoyorozu's pretty face immediately turned red, and he couldn't help but think of the night in the study. His eyes happened to meet Mrs. Igarashi, and she found that her eyes were also full. It's all teasing, making Yaoyorozu's head seem to be steamed. For Yaoyorozu Hundred's luxury homes, a few people are naturally familiar and can no longer be acquainted. The parents of Jungta and Yaoyorozu Hundreds also took a leave of absence today to help them. You guys came really early. After arriving in the living room, Masada found that Midori Valley, Kirishima and others had arrived, and they were swiping their phones at this time. It's great to see you are fine. The look of being so energetic made a few people breathe. They were also worried that they would have sequelae after being caught by the AFO at that time. For flowers, look at it quickly, now the news is all analyzing your true identity. Kirishima was excited and put his arms around Jungma's neck and showed him the content on his mobile phone. I see. The content on the phone made Masada smile speechlessly. These so-called experts can really talk about the secret weapon of the government, the strongest raptor in history, All Might's direct disciple, all kinds of the title ofs is all put on his body, and the photo above is also a back of Masada. As for the front face, it was given by the police due to confidentiality. Destroyed. Hey, this is the only treatment available to the popular hero. Can you be a little excited? Seeing that Masada didn't seem to have any reaction, Kirishima was anxious instead, knowing that he has always envied this kind of attention-grabbing treatment. What's so exciting about this? After a while, these reporters won't be so idle. Pulling Kirishima's hand away, he glanced at him disgustingly, just talking too lightly. Damn it, can't you think about how I feel? Kirishima's pitiful appearance made everyone laugh, and as time passed, the rest of the class slowly arrived. They also recognized that it was Masada who was fighting at the time. At this time, when they saw the Zhengzhu, they seemed to know him for the first time. In this signature book, let Masada sign him a few names, because when he becomes famous in the future, he can rely on these signatures to make girls. The last one arrived was Boom. His expression was still that cold, as if the rescue operation this time had no effect on him, but when he looked closely, his eyes still had some changes. Strange, where is Bakugo? After counting for a long time, Kirishima only ordered 19 people, and found that the last one was Bakugo, so he asked Midori suspiciously, is he not coming? Xiaosheng, I called him, but he didn't answer it, maybe there is something important. Chapter 217 Celebration Banquet. Hearing Lugu's words, everyone looked at each other, and they understood Bakugo's thoughts at this time. According to his strong self-esteem, after being kidnapped and taken hostage by the League of Villains, there must be no way to face everyone for a period of time, let alone this war was caused by him. In a short time, Bakugo must be in a mood of self-blame and anger. I called him again, but there was still no one answering, and it was almost time for dinner, and there was no way for everyone to move to the restaurant. The dinner is divided into two locations. The spacious formal dining room is reserved for Class A students, while the parents of Yaoyorozu and Masada eat in a small room. After all, as parents, they must have other things to do. Talking, and when a few people are present, everyone can't let go. 380, I said, what's the matter with you? On the way to the restaurant, Masada got close to Boom. From a moment ago, he felt that Boom's eyes were a little wrong, and it seemed like something was on his mind. Ignoring Masada's kindness, Boom still wore a poker face and frowned. But this only aroused Masada's curiosity even more. Let me guess, it must be related to your family. To be honest, based on Boom's interpersonal relationship, it is estimated that only his family members are the only ones who can make him worry about it, because the number of times he interacts with people is really pitiful, so although Masada is a guess, he uses it. It was said in an affirmative tone. Boom's thoughts were revealed, and he no longer pretended to be indifferent, and showed a bitter smile. Yes, my dad lost his temper at home yesterday, which made me a little worried. After listening to the Boom, Masada also reacted. It seems that Endeavor is the biggest European chef. Maybe even Lugu can't match him. The news of All Might's sudden retirement must have given him a big blow. After all, he has been surpassing All Might and working hard for the goal. Now that All Might has retired, doesn't it mean that he will never surpass him anymore? I think it's something important. Don't worry, your dad must have a cause for it, just let the anger in my heart vent out. To comfort him, Masada also felt a little emotional about the changes in Boom. I still remember the relationship between their father and son during the sports festival, but after more than half a year of changes, Boom is now able to worry about Endeavor, and I have to sigh. The power of time is powerful. Under Yaoyorozu's urging, everyone was finally seated. It was not the first time that everyone had seen the luxury of her home, but they were still shocked by the ostentation of today's dinner. Not to mention the luxurious decoration in the restaurant and the exquisite decorations on the table, dinner is also very particular. It turned out to be in the form of self-service. Abalones, lobsters, and king crabs that are rarely eaten on weekdays are just like huxia cabbage. They are free to be selected by everyone. There are many dishes that students can't call at all, but they can't control so many at this time. Only good food is left in his eyes, and I wish I could have two mouths. While everyone ate and drank wildly, Junta, Yaoyorozu and Cha-Cha were enjoying the hard-won warmth in the corner. Huh, huh, a heavy and rapid gasp came from Cha-Cha's mouth, making the air seem to be stained with a red breath. I can't do it anymore. Cha-Cha's depression mixed with excitement sounded in the ears of the two of them. If it doesn't work, don't force it. Yaoyorozu's caring voice sounded, but I think I can hold on for a while. It feels so strange. Just forget it. No, I can't stop. Hearing the conversation between the two, Masato couldn't help but slip a few black lines on his forehead. This conversation is too easy to make people want to get crooked. So this mapo tofu just looks a bit spicy, right? It's actually not that spicy at all. I couldn't help but vomit. Why is your expression so exaggerated? Cha-Cha, no way. If you continue to listen to these strange sounds, Masato's whole person may be bad. Cha-Cha's original expression is very rich, and her face has always been exaggerated. At this moment, her small face is flushed, and she is panting. She still sticks out her tongue, and then quickly retracts it. This look is really cute. But it's really spicy. Under the cultivation of Masato's mother, Cha-Cha successfully fell in love with peppers. Although she was not very spicy, she still couldn't control herself and kept stuffing mapo tofu in her mouth. Usually at home, the dishes do not have the level of spiciness at this time. Because the chefs of Yaoyorozu are very professional, they also restore the ma and spicy of mapo tofu, making it the first time I taste this. An authentic taste of tea is out of control. By the way, what did you do before you suddenly escaped from villains? Yaoyorozu Bai asked her doubts at this time. She watched the live broadcast of the entire battle, but she didn't quite understand the situation at the time. Well, you understand it is my domineering arrogance for a while, frighten him. The Masato who was fighting with a large crab leg summed it up very briefly, but it seemed that Yaoyorozu did not believe it. Ask you about business. Don't try to fool me with these. With a sigh of relief, Yaoyorozu puffed up his mouth, then picked up a piece of crab meat that was so hard to get out and skewed it into his mouth. My meat. Masato was a little bit eager to cry without tears, and as expected, women weren't any reasonable creatures. Say quickly, or you will look good. 4.8. The food on other people's plates always tastes better. Yaoyorozu chewed on the crab meat and said vaguely. Actually, I was telling the truth. At that time, I was thinking that I could not lose, and then I broke through, bursting into a momentum, and escaped for a moment when he was dumbfounded. I don't know how to explain it. I was too jogging to describe the situation clearly, but this made Yaoyorozu even more confused. Do it like this. How about I'll show it to you later? In the end, Masato decided to use facts to speak. It seems that there is a zoo in Haoshan. I will experiment with the animals in it later. He looked at Masato dubiously, and seeing that his confident expression D Chapter 218 Demo Conquerors. Masato feels that his newly awakened ability is almost the same as Conqueror's Haki in One Piece. Whether it is to shock the villains or affect the surrounding things, it is surprisingly the same, so fortunately, it is also used. Called Conqueror's Haki, this kind of aura does not seem to be able to practice on his own. From the initial awakening when he stayed in the forest, to showing its true power when playing against the AFO, Masato has not actively practiced. Conqueror's Haki can only be strengthened when the user becomes stronger or his character has a great transformation, and at first he couldn't control the scope of use at all. This momentum oppresses the designated target, which is a great improvement. In Masato's view, Conqueror's Haki is definitely not just used to clean up the minions. It must be only the tip of the iceberg. This momentum is definitely still useful, otherwise such a big battle will be too useless. Now that Masato can clearly feel this breath, then he can try to develop his use. This is the power of the spiritual level, so Masato also decided to start from the spiritual aspect. Yo, you 23 are hiding here. Kirishima was holding a glass of juice and walked to the side of Masato. Because of the underage relationship, there are no alcoholic beverages here, so everyone's drinks are very uniform, either juice or milk. It is a bit weird to go with this big meal. Raising the goblet in his hand, Kirishima cheered in a deceptive manner. Hero S of the Battle of the Gods and Fields. The number one of the future. Villains the nightmare of eternal life. The Ashbringer with flowing magma. This world needs Hero S. The boys in the class were also slick, yelling to Kirishima one by one, and also raised the juice, made a toast, and then drank it. If it weren't for their smiles and ridiculous eyes, it really makes people think that they are complimenting Masato. However, Masato didn't care. Instead, she was very cooperative holding the wine glass with one hand, raised her head slightly, stood up from her seat, and patrolled around like a leader, and then slightly her forehead. That's good, I mean. Seeing this picture of Masato, the classmates laughed out loud, even the girls were infected, and the joyful atmosphere filled the whole restaurant. Everyone has almost eaten, right? Next, Masato is going to show us a skill. Looking at the mess on the table, almost all the food was swept away. With Masato's consent, Yaoyorozu directly invited all the students to witness the Conqueror's Haki of Masato, which was considered a leisure activity after dinner. Oh, I didn't expect Masato to still hide your hand. After hearing this, Kirishima asked curiously, first, we have all seen the Magma Giant. If it is that, we don't need to take it out. It is no longer a secret that Yenji Suzuo, After all, Masita has been used several times in the public, so everyone is not curious about this. Don't worry, you have never seen it before, so don't be surprised at the time. God said to Kirishima mysteriously, and then no matter how he asked, Masada didn't speak anymore, which made Kirishima's heart itchy, and even a strange color appeared in Boon's eyes. After staying in the restaurant for a while, the group headed to the back mountain of the mansion and came to a closed conference hall. Wow, I didn't expect Xiaobai to have a private zoo in your house. Yi Yin said excitedly. No, Yaoyorozu's 100 houses can be said to have everything they need. After all, when the money is a certain amount, it is only a number. Of course, he will want to do some peculiar things. Ah, yes, I remember I took a photo with this tiger when I was too young. It was a small one, just like a stuffed toy. It has grown so big now. Pointing to a tiger wandering aimlessly in the glass room, Yaoyorozu said something funny when he was too young. Ha ha ha, tell me if he was scared to wet his pants at the time. Grape smelled an interesting scent, and immediately came over, wanting to master some of the black history of Masada. Sorry, I was holding a tiger for a photo, and you are the only one who wets my pants. Unfortunately, Masada's words interrupted his fantasy and gave him a fatal blow. G his pants has become a stain in his life. Ignoring the grapes who knelt on the ground and doubted life, he pointed at the tiger too much, then let him demonstrate. Question marks popped up on everyone's heads. What else can this tiger demonstrate? Is it possible that Masada wants to use magma to give this tiger to it? Is too cruel. Feeling the strange gazes of the classmates, Jungtai waved his hand quickly. It's not what you think. I didn't plan to continue to whet the students' appetite, but I just smiled too much. Get ready to watch the magic trick. Feeling the conqueror's haki in his body, Masada's eyes turned towards the tiger who didn't know he was about to be unlucky. Invisible fluctuations emanated from his body, and then swept across and rushed towards the tiger. Only for an instant, the tiger shook and fell down as if being hit by a heavy hammer on the head. In the eyes of everyone, things are very simple. The tiger stared so hard that the tiger fainted. What is this? Everyone yelled out in surprise, some of them couldn't believe it. After all, Masada hadn't contacted the tiger at 380, and everyone knew his quirk. Could it really be a magic? Yaoyorozu saw that it was a tiger from the past, and she also believed what Shanta had said before, but she looked at the tiger with some worry. Don't worry, I have controlled the intensity, for it is just asleep. Seeing the worry in Yaoyorozu's eyes, he was too hurried to comfort him. The tiger grew up with the two of them, and he was reluctant to make a heavy hand. Hey, what did you do? Tell us quickly. Yes, that's right, don't satisfy our curiosity, don't want to leave easily tonight. Faced with the crusade from the classmates, Masada had to raise her hand to surrender. It's just a kind of imposing usage, don't you understand? Just like All Might standing in front of you, will there be a sense of oppression? I just seem to be a little special in this respect. After hearing Masada's answer, everyone looked at each other and was a little stunned. Even All Might couldn't directly stun the tiger with his aura. Isn't this just a gift? Moreover, he is obviously a freshman in high school, and others are still working hard to temper their quirk. Why is this guy Masada already having his own aura? This is a symbol of the strong. There is only one sentence left in the mind of classmates now. People have to die than people, and they have to be thrown away. Chapter 219 Home Visit. Mr. Aizawa, All Might, why are you here? The summer vacation did not end because of the Battle of the Wild. After the first period of turmoil, the lives of Masada and others returned to peace again. Therefore, he was very surprised by the sudden visit of the two. Idiot, didn't you see the previous notice? Yaoyorozu came out from behind Mrs. Tai and complained, the teachers are here to ask if we are willing to move to the school. Hearing Yaoyorozu's words, Jungtae reacted. It seemed that there was a text message on the phone saying this before, but he had long been left behind. Then I am of course different. Just wanting to refuse, the head was pressed by Yaoyorozu, and her mouth was covered by her other hand. Of course we agree, but we still have to seek the opinions of our parents. Yaoyorozu said with a smile on his face. All Might glanced sympathetically at the crushed Masada. Although she knew that several people were living together, she did not expect that the strong Masada outside would be at the bottom of the family status at home. Jungtae feels a little bit crying without tears, he doesn't want to move to the dormitory of the school. Is the chuang at home not soft? Or Yaoyorozu Baihei Cha-cha just took a shower and the sight of wearing pajamas is not good. If you move to school, some of the inadvertent benefits on weekdays will definitely be gone. However, he is still very confident of his mother, who is definitely reluctant to let him move out. Move to the dormitory. No problem. Then Masatakan will ask you. No. Masada heard her mother's swift response, and the last glimmer of hope in her heart was also shattered. Because you haven't experienced the accommodation life since you were a kid, right? If you don't experience it well, you will regret it in the future. Not only that, but the parents of Yaoyorozu Baihei Cha-cha simply agreed. After all, if someone is really watching the students, then there is no place safer than Shongying, who walks all over Hero S. Since you are staying, you must arrange your new room well. It's best to buy a chuang that is the same as your home, with various decorations. Yaoyorozu Bai was already self-confident at this time, put his hands in front of Yu Hung, and said with a look of longing. Masada was a little speechless about this. He didn't expect Yaoyorozu to be so looking forward to the accommodation, but if the Chuang from her family moved there would be no place to put your things in the dormitory. Is this our dormitory? This is too luxurious. In mid-August, Masada dragged the suitcase and left the house in the eyes of her parents. Although Shongying implemented a fully enclosed management this time, students were not allowed to leave school during normal school periods. However, the strong must have some privileges. If Masada wants to go home, I believe Shongying will not stop it, so his parents did not show too much reluctance. At this moment, everyone in Class A was standing in front of a brand new building, talking with excited smiles. In order to give the students a superior environment, Shongying released his killer bronze this time, the Cement Man teacher. Under Cement Man's crazy work, this dormitory was completed in just a few days. Okay, everyone be quiet. Mr. Aizawa, who stood in front of the crowd, looked at the excited crowd and reluctantly grabbed his hair. This time our first grade Class A, it is already a lucky thing to be able to get all the members here. Next, I will show you all. Go to the school building. This time the college adopted a dormitory model. On the one hand, the increasingly powerful villains has threatened the safety of students. In the school, there are a large number of teachers who are professional heroes and at the same time, once again increasing the number of cameras and patrol robots, coupled with the 24-hour shift system, it can be said that Shongying has become an airtight iron bucket. On the other hand, it is to secretly investigate the possible existence of ghosts, and to gather everyone together, not only to avoid turmoil, but also to make the investigation easier to carry out. One class in one building. On the right is the male dormitory and the left is the female dormitory. However, the entire first floor is shared by everyone. The dining hall, bathroom, and laundry room are all here. Leading everyone into the dormitory, Aizawa teacher explained. But not many people seem to be listening. So big, great, and the couch. This is simply a mansion. There is even a yard in the middle. From the second floor is the residential area. Hearing this, everyone flew upstairs again, looking for their room everywhere. Hanging at the back of the team, Masada held his head with both hands and said to Yaoyorozu who was next to him, "Come and help me with the quilt later, my mother actually put the quilt separately." How to put the quilt into the quilt, Masada still hasn't learned even now, although she has learned it seriously, but every time the quilt is turned into a ball, so basically his mother does it at home. Air conditioning, toilet, refrigerator, wardrobe, everything. There is even a separate balcony. From here you can see the whole Shongying. It's amazing. The rooms have been allocated in advance. Everyone can easily find their bedroom through the sign hanging at the door of the room. Now they are all yelling in it. I don't know if it was intentional or unintentional. The rooms of Masada, Yaoyorozu and Cha-Cha are all on the 5th floor, and there are only 3 of them on this floor, but there is also a room that seems to be occupied, but the room is not the same as them. Famous brand, coeducational rooms, and there are bathhouses and laundry facilities on the 1st floor. After returning to the hall, Masaru saw Mineta, who was the incarnation of lust, with the corners of his mouth raised high, and there was a trace of crystal liquid left from the corners of his mouth, which was obviously a happy life in the future. Aizawa-sensei apparently also noticed the weird Mineta, and his face was completely dark at this time. If there is news such as, Shongying High School students attacked girls' dormitory at night, then the school will lose its face. I was about to go, good money, to remind him to pay attention, but apparently someone moved faster than him. Is your kid thinking about something weird? He lifted him up by the collar that grabbed Mineta, and Masada's fists were constantly gesturing on his head, and at the same time, a terrible breath exuded from his body, making Mineta seem to see the thick behind Masada. Magic shadow. I won't. Don't call me. Mineta only felt that under this momentum, his body would be too weak for his strength, and he quickly surrendered. Don't worry, these things are separated from men and women, and Mineta cannot have a chance. Asui also walked over, looking at the color grape clusters that seemed to be crying with contempt. Today you will tidy up the room. I will tell you the future arrangements tomorrow. Okay, I'm done with my words and disbanded. Seeing the hot scene of everyone, Mr. Aizawa sighed again and left silently. Soon, the time came tonight. Chapter 220 Stay in the dormitory. I feel so happy when I think that I can eat such delicious meals every day in the future. The meals in the canteen in the dormitory building, like the meals in the teaching building, are cooked by professional chefs. They are not inferior to the big restaurants outside, but are slightly better, and the nutritional match is also reasonable. After dinner, everyone in Class A came to the common lounge on the 1st floor, lying on the sofa and chatting comfortably. Fortunately, I thought Mrs. Aizawa would give us a tough meal. Lugu patted his chest and rejoiced and said, "We joined the battle without the permission of the school." What's the matter? You guys have a regular organization, okay. Special Operations Team Member, Midori Valley Izuku, how about it, doesn't it sound like hockey? Masada buried his entire body in the sofa, indicating that Green Valley thought too much. It's still comfortable with this kind of soft sofa. Sitting on the wooden sofa at home is nothing short of torture. That's right, the sofa in Masada's house has been replaced by Yaoyorozu with a wooden sofa made of the so-called sacred wood. Since then, Masada has not been able to roll on the sofa like before. 380 is the old man. Mom and Dad like this sofa, and the look in Yaoyorozu's eyes is more and more like looking at his daughter-in-law. Boys, you should have cleaned up the room, right? We have a proposal now, should we organize a room display conference? Masada waited for a long time, and Yi Yin and Ishido's excited voices came from behind, and after hearing the content of their words, Lugu, Tokiyami, and Mineta trembled involuntarily, their faces turned pale. Stand up. Wait, wait, the door of Green Valley was the first to be pushed open. The moment everyone swarmed in, Green Valley collapsed to the ground like dead ashes. It's just a public sentence. Also inside is Tu Rao Circle, some were surprised too. 4 walls full of posters to be All Might occupation table cabinet also filled with hand done All Might even on the room carpet, also wrote the name of All Might. Amazing. Is a dead house level layout Girls have issued a marvel, though long known that Green Valley is All Might brain residual powder, but no one can think that he was able to make this point. I was who I was there. Hearts subjected to 1,000,000 points crit Green Valley, then leaned back in the past have been ashamed to see people, and he did not even thought of the possibility there will be others into his room. Well, you do not worry Green Valley well. You know, the death house, but the room is filled with the same girl hand to do all. And they do not care about other people's eyes but will it be complacent. You have to and they learn it. Quote, it is Tu went to his side to comfort the sentence, and gave him an encouraging thumbs up, but look at the Green Valley seems like my heart has been inserted together once again collapsed to the ground. Following Midori Valley, Tokiyami's room, although he blocked his door to prevent everyone from entering, he couldn't bear the huge gap in the number of people and was dragged away by his classmates. The tone of the whole room is black, and even if the light is on, it gives a dark feeling. There are also various medieval-style coats of arms and armor, full of a breadth of middle and second. Aoyama, who lives next door to him, and Tokiyami are completely 2 styles. The dazzling lights inside are just dazzling. After Masato entered, he felt like a KTV, which is really in line with Aoyama's personality. Who else lives on the 2nd floor? The room with a few people's style made everyone full of enthusiasm at this time, and they continued to move on to the next room. Come in, I will open your eyes to you. I saw Mineta staying in the room, opened a crack in the door, revealing a half CDEI head, constantly waving at the girl, with an extremely evil expression on her face, and the corners of her mouth with traces of saliva. After all the girls saw Mineta, their expressions changed drastically. They had no desire to visit his room at all. Instead, a few boys showed interest. Come on, let me see what you hide. Masato led a group of boys in the class, and walked toward his door in a mighty manner. Seeing so many big guys coming, Mineta's face changed, and he immediately wanted to close the door, but his speed how could it be possible to catch up with Masato, who came forward to hold the door too easily. You guys want to do. Mineta wants to cry without tears at this time. He wants girls to visit his room to satisfy his strange habit, but he doesn't want a group of men to come. Of course it is to visit your room. We are very curious. The rest of the boys, such as Kaminari and Kirishima, were also eager to try, and walked in at the pace of Masato. Wow, what is this? Don't mess around. That's a complete set of books that I finally collected. What's this? It's so soft and comfortable. This is a limited edition doll. Don't break it. Mineta-san, put all these away for me. Such things are not allowed in the student dormitory. Iida, hurry up and stop. These are my treasures. For a while, the noisy sound rang through the entire dormitory building, and after a while, only Mineta's wailing sound was left. My life is over. The girl waiting outside only saw Iida walking out with a big cardboard box, while Mineta was kneeling on the ground, like a salted fish that had lost her dream. Indecent. Nausea. You don't need to use your brain to know what's in this carton. The girls didn't sympathize with him at all, but looked at him with contempt. I will hand these things to Aizawa-sensei tomorrow. As Shongi and Hiro how can we be poisoned by these things? Iida's face was full of righteousness at this time, and the scrupulous eyes behind the lenses contrasted with the civic-like Mineta, making Masato feel happy. Iida, it's so easy to use. After that, everyone visited the rooms of Ojiro, Iida, Kaminari and others in turn. It is worth mentioning that Sato actually baked cakes in the room, and it was very delicious, and it was well received by the girls. So, the boys' room is only left with Masato. Yi-Yin broke his hands and found out that because Bakugo had already fallen asleep, Masato, who lived on the 5th floor, was the last destination for everyone. Chapter 221 Room Display Contest. When I heard that I was about to visit Masato's room, everyone's interest that had faded before came up again. The undisputed strongest person in the class. Muscular handsome guy. Not only the girls, but the curiosity of the boys is also completely hooked. Masato, you guy must have the same style as my room. After all, we are all passionate men. Kirishima said with a confident face. His room was filled with posters similar to Dayu and Shore Victory, as well as all kinds of fitness equipment. A little bit out of breath. However, at the same time, she also won the 2nd place in the ranking of I don't want my boyfriend to decorate the room like this by the girls. What? You ask who is the number 1 on this list? Then of course it is our Mineta-kun. Hung and Lugu's eyes are also full of curiosity, and he has admitted that his strengths are all accumulated in the usual way, so will there be some places he can learn in the layout of his room? I'm afraid you will be disappointed. Looking at the bleak expression of a bunch of people, Jung was too speechless and said that the room is just a place to live, and his requirements for this are not very high. My room is pretty ordinary. Open the door without any cover, the inside of the room is very simple. Entering the door is a clean bed, covered with a light blue quilt, and there is a lovely table lamp with a warm light on the head of the bed. On the ground is a soft and simple carpet, you can see from the outside. The quality is extraordinary. Facing the bed is a computer desk with a few pots of flowers on it, bringing a bit of life to the room. The window on the balcony is still hanging. Several strings of wind chimes hung, reflecting the pure white color in the moonlight. I can't see that, Masada, you are so particular. My dear friend, why have you betrayed me? So you like simple style too? Hearing all the people who talked and talked about it, they rubbed their eyebrows too much, and pushed Kirishima away, who was about to pounce in tears. So I said, my room is very simple, these are all arranged for me. Masada's original room was simpler than it is now, with only a simple bed and a table. After all, the only thing that can be done when returning to the dormitory is sleeping, and almost all other things are done outside. However, when Yaoyorozu came over to patrol, he felt that he was too lazy, so he helped him decorate on his own, and finally it became what everyone saw. No wonder this room is so girly. Xiao Baibai's taste is really high. Even the eldest daughter is unexpectedly home-like. Upon hearing Masada's words, the girls directly abandoned him and whirled around Yaoyorozu, and the boys' eyes looked a little dangerous when they looked at him. I said, Masada, you are too interesting, right? Kaminari said with a gloomy face. Yes, this is too much. Shiro also nodded plausibly. A-hole, there must be something 18x hidden in your room. See if I won't find it for you. This is a certain grape that has gone mad. Hey, isn't it? Isn't it just a room? As for such a fuss. He carried the grapes in his hand to prevent him from turning over his own things. Masada said that these people in front of him were too ignorant. If they know that when they are at home, they will have services such as loving feeding, lap pillows, and waking up to wake up early, wouldn't these people have to tear themselves up? Damn, this indifferent tone, what do you think of the tone of a married man? Consider our single dog mood. Kaminari finally couldn't put it on anymore, and said angrily, pulling the collar with both hands. Next, go and see our girls. Then we will decide a room king. After watching the boys' room, Mina still felt unhappy, so she proposed a competition, the first class a taste contest, start. Oh, this is a good proposal. Agreeing, Masada is also very interested in the layout of the girls' room. Although he is already familiar with the boudoirs of the two girls in the family, he can no longer be familiar with it, but as long as he is a man, he will not refuse this kind of thing, right? I think it's so harmful. The first one was Jiro. At this time, she was blushing and her eyebrows were also frowned together, which was obviously very tangled. It was even more exaggerated than expected. The number of instruments in the room can already form an orchestra. After all, Jiro is a rock girl. The tone of the room is black and white. Not only the floor, but also the ceiling is also pasted with black and white checkered stickers, giving a punk atmosphere. Masada also curiously walked to the side of a speaker, fiddled with the complicated buttons on it. It's amazing, Jiro, can you use all of these? More or less, Jiro is now shy and afraid to see people, pinching her earlobes with her hands and constantly tapping them together, which is totally inconsistent with her cool style in daily life. There is really no girlish feelings at all. Yes, not a lady at all. Just as everyone admired, two discordant voices came out. Seeing Kaminari and Shiro who were still complacent, Masada is a little suspicious of the emotional intelligence of the two of them. In this case, it is reasonable to praise a girl, right? Just want to find a girlfriend. Sure enough, the next moment Jiro threw out his earlobe, poked them in the head and gave a critical blow. Hurry up and go to the next room. ... For flowers. The style of the next room also opened the eyes of Jung, full of girly powder Yi Yin, modern style Ashido, and maverick Asui. Asui actually built a pond in the center of the room. This really surprised everyone. My room is very ordinary. Cha-Cha touched her head with embarrassment and opened the door. Her room is indeed very simple. This may be related to her living environment when she was a child, but it has a traditional atmosphere, whether it is tatami mats or small electric fans. It gave everyone a feeling of going back to when they were young. It's not bad, I have always missed the old houses in the country. I haven't been back much since elementary school. Masada lay directly on the ground with a comfortable expression, swaying the puff fan in his hand, which seemed very comfortable. Of course, this move caused public outrage among the boys. There's nothing beautiful in my room. 0. The last one was Yaoyorozu's room, and as soon as he walked in, everyone was shocked. It's exactly the same as Masada's room. That's right, except for a large bookcase near the wall, the room for the two is almost carved out of a mold. It's not surprising, right? It's all from the same person after all. The sharp-eyed Yi Yin glanced in the room and suddenly found a good thing. Hey, what is this? She picked up a photo frame on the bedside, which was a photo of the two children. Ah, that. Yaoyorozu's face turned red in an instant, and the words rushed, that is a photo of me and Masada when I was young. Huh, is this babbled kid actually a Masada? It doesn't look like it at all. The classmates also gathered around, looking at the two little kids in kindergarten uniforms in the frame, they couldn't believe it. After all, Masada is walking the muscle line now, and the slightly fat child in the frame looks completely two people. Abominable childhood sweetheart. Today is the third time that the boy who has been given dog food said that his stomach is already very strong and he can't eat it anymore. Then, this time the winner of the room king is. After visiting the rooms of all the students, everyone returned to the lobby on the first floor and began a secret ballot. At this time, Mina was announcing the final result. Sato Rikido won the championship with an overwhelming advantage of 6 votes. Sato Rikido won the girls' votes with his cake. As for the layout of the room, is that important? The cake is delicious. Recently, the book review area is very lively. A poll was held to find out what everyone would like to see. Long. Chapter 222 Unexpected New Classmates. The Hero S license is one of the most important qualifications of Hero S. Because it is an important license that concerns human life, the examination is extremely difficult. The next morning, Mr. Aizawa put his hands on the podium and told the Class A classmates. Of course, you are not currently qualified to take this exam. Right now, your goal is to obtain a temporary license. Looking at the classmates who had already whipped their appetites below, Mr. Aizawa nodded in satisfaction and continued. From the past Provisional Hero S license assessment, even the highest passing rate is not 50%. Even single-digit pass rates often appear, and the number of people participating in the assessment is as high as thousands each time. So difficult. Really, this is just a temporary license, right? Everyone who has not systematically understood the 380s in this area has shown a surprised look. Although they have also thought about it, this exam will definitely be difficult, but the pass rate of the number of people still shocked them. Because of this, I want each of you to at least figure out a prototype of a nirvana within today. Holding up a finger, Aizawa-sensei said straightforwardly, and as soon as his voice fell, the door of the classroom was suddenly pushed open from the outside, and the cement division, Midnight, and the ethereal ghost teacher left. Come in, these three teachers will be responsible for this training of Class A. The so-called nirvana is the form or move that Hero S must win. With a strong personal touch, others can never imitate it, and to a certain extent, the nirvana is a symbol of Hero S. If you use it, you can turn the tide of the battle. Because the assessment of the temporary license is very difficult, in order to make students more hopeful to get this license, the college decided to let the teachers help them study their nirvana skills in advance, so as to give them an extra killer bronze. Next, you will follow. Why are you here now? Mr. Aizawa, who just wanted to let the classmates set off, suddenly found that there was one more person in the class who shouldn't be here at the moment. No wonder the classmates' reaction was a bit wrong. This classmate said that he couldn't wait for the beginning of school, so he wanted to come to school early. Teacher Cement Division touched his head honestly, and said with some embarrassment. Standing next to the three teachers, it was the beautiful JK girl, Himiko Toga, who was met by Class A classmates in the forest. At this time, Dui was still sticking her very distinctive ball head, but she had already put on Shangying's uniform, and she was standing on tiptoe with a smile on her face. Wait, why is she here? Shouldn't she be villains? Yaoyorozu stood up first, and asked loudly. It was an ironclad fact that Himiko Toga and the League of Villains came together. How come to Shangying within a few days and become a student? In this case, because after a thorough investigation by the police, my classmate did not have a bad past. The purpose of this time with the League of Villains is also very simple, plus she did not do anything bad, but provided information about the League of Villains, large amount of intelligence. So she decided to give her a chance to reform and rehabilitate. Shangying came to school for comprehensive examinations. After the examination, the school also recognized her as having this qualification, so she was assigned to our class. Quote, Teacher Midnight gave Yaoyorozu 100 answers. In fact, I can come to Shangying to go to school. On the one hand, it is because of her strong desire, and on the other hand, because of her distorted personality. So Shangying can also be better watched. After all, the police already understood that the purpose of ferrying me to stay together was actually to meet Mrs. Tae. At that time, the news hit a large number of people. This is almost the same as chasing a star. In order to see my idol, my family was bankrupt, just as it happened. Masada was also going to school in Shangying, so he arranged for me to be in Class A, after the Battle of Shenye. Later, the police had believed that under the influence of Masada, my personality would definitely improve. As if shook his head with a headache, Mr. Aizawa turned around and explained, this is your new classmate. She should have come to our class at the beginning of school, but now it doesn't matter if it is a few days in advance. Cross me, introduce yourself. Hearing what Aizawa-sensei said, Himiko Toga didn't have stage fright at all, so he spoke to everyone. Hello everyone, my name is Himiko Toga. My favorite thing is Masada, and the most annoying thing is Masada hates thing. The classmates below listened to this maverick self-introduction, and they were all stunned. Although the voice is very good, and the people are also big beauties, but the content of these words is too strange. Hey, I said that this beauty is just too big, shouldn't it be? Kaminari whispered in Minetta's ear at this time. He had a bad feeling in his heart. It is a pity that Himiko Toga's hearing is very good. He heard his words directly, and answered her generously on the podium. Yes, I like it best. Igarashi is too big. The male compatriots in the class only feel that the anger in their hearts can no longer be expressed in words. Why this obviously new girl has something to do with Masada. The gap between people is too big. Kaminari was unwilling to hold his head and kept hitting the table. Siro collapsed on his arm with a look of lovelessness, and Grape performed his knack. Is it really okay to have so much blood in his eyes? The character is really weird. Scratching his head, Mr. Aizawa felt a little bit painful. It seems that there will be 4.8 more problem students in the class in the future. Then cross me and you can sit in the last row of the class. Pointing to a position behind G. Masada, Mr. Aizawa said that this position was temporarily added this morning, and everyone hasn't noticed it before. The moment Masato Kondoi appeared, the whole person was not good, but he clearly remembered that the sick girl seemed to be taking his own blood at the time. There is no contact, who knows that the other party has directly chased here. Looking at Himiko Toga, who was smiling more and more brilliantly, walking towards him, and then at Yaoyorozu, who had some wrong eyes, and Cha-Cha, who turned his head in front, and looked a little worried. NS. Shongying is terrible, I want to go home. Chapter 223 Develop Nirvana. It's too big, we meet again. Two pointed little tiger teeth were revealed, and a full smile appeared on my face. Because of my excitement, my face even appeared red. Masato pretended not to see her, and stared at Aizawa-sensei on the podium like this, as if she wanted to see Aizawa-sensei's face. Just kidding, Yaoyorozu has been staring at him all the time. Going to talk at this time is just looking for death. Well, I was a little disappointed when I didn't get a response from Masato. My cheeks bulged and looked like two little buns. The cute appearance made me want to squeeze. Damn it, the new classmate is so cute, I'm so unwilling. Grape, who was sitting in front, looked back at this scene, the jealousy in his eyes was overflowing, and he didn't know it when he bit his lips. You save the time, even if others don't know Masato, it's impossible for 23 to follow you, right? As his number one spoiler, Kaminari ruthlessly pierced the illusion of Grapes and brought him back to reality. Quote, why can't I be loved by girls? Kaminari, answer me. Grape's face was full of bewilderment and he couldn't believe it. He held Kaminari's shoulders with both hands and kept shaking him. Kaminari's head was shaken out of a phantom by him. Siro, who was next to them, looked funny. The average girl must like someone taller than herself. This should be common sense. Taste. Grape, who was still tangled with Kaminari, heard Siro's words, and suddenly it collapsed like a puddle of mud as if it had been struck by a flash of lightning. My life is over. This sentence has recently become the mantra of Grapes. With a height of only 108 centimeters, can she really find a girl who is shorter than her? What are you trying to do? I won't let you get close to Masato. After I took my seat, Yaoyorozu-bai looked at her vigilantly like a cat protecting me. Yaoyorozu-bai still has lingering fears about the morbid performance of Tuo. Well, I didn't seem to care about the look in her eyes if I didn't transition. I still bulged my mouth, and lay my head on the table, looking at the back of the young lady in front of me. The two legs were still swaying, and I was awkward and needed to be coaxed. Look like, what is this? Great crisis. Facing such a villains, Yaoyorozu is now in a bad mood, very bad. It feels like a green crown has been dangling on her head. Just too big, just too big. Yaoyorozu's inner emotions didn't affect Dumi. At this time, she had already begun to interact with Masato in front of her. Slender fingers kept poking on Masato's back, and then gently scratching and pulling on it, making Masato feel that there was a tingling sensation on the back. My dormitory is opposite to you, come to see me to play at night, I have many kinds of knives in my room. What's this? I'm very happy to invite me to your room, but after listening to the latter sentence, there must be nothing good after going. I felt cold when I was crossing over, and Masato only felt cold sweat on her head. What should I do if I am caught by a sick girl? Waiting online, I am very anxious. However, his reaction was not bad. Yaoyorozu had already exploded at this time. Huh, who are you? Yaoyorozu-bai's gradually louder voice finally attracted my attention. I remember. You are the woman who tied me back. The visible, character appeared on Yaoyorozu's forehead, is the point of speaking here. The Masato who was caught between the two dared not say a word now, or saying that not speaking at this time is the best choice. Okay, don't whisper anymore. Hurry up and put on your combat uniforms and gather at the Gamma training ground. Cross me, and you will be with you. Since you are here at Shongying, you will participate in the course with everyone. You have fallen a lot. Standing on the podium and watching the chattering classmates, Aizawa teacher finally couldn't help it. The whole body exuded a black breath, which shocked everyone in an instant. Saved. Mr. Aizawa's words can be said to be very timely to help Masatai to get out of the siege, allowing him to escape from the tragic atmosphere. On the way to the training ground, Masato has been by Yaoyorozu-bai's side, constantly comforting her, such as, don't care about with a silly fan, you are my mother's appointment, etc. Finally let Yaoyorozu it was sullen, and at the same time it made her feel a little sweet. What an appointment. It's like an arranged marriage. Although there was some disdain on her mouth, her expression betrayed her, showing Yaoyorozu's happy mood very well. As everyone came to the training ground, Masato stood beside the team with a look of listless expression. He was really unable to develop such things as Nirvana. Not to mention his own, Big Spitfire, Nether Dog, and Lava Burst Fist, are all top to 1 skills, and they are the kind of tricks that will continue to increase as his strength increases, and Meteor Volcano, and Volcanic Eruption, can easily change the terrain in a large area A383-0, not to mention the Flaming Sue, so that one person can sweep a whole group of people. The trick, by the way, and Conqueror's Haki, who only recently awakened. You can start from this aspect. But Aizawa-sensei seems to have other plans. In view of the consideration of your strength Igarashi, you will act as a temporary teacher in this training to help students develop Nirvana skills. This is also one of your class leader's obligations. Looking up and down Masato, and then thinking about his terrifying strength, Aizawa-sensei felt that this venue might not be enough for him to toss, so he simply came up with a strange trick. Does the squad leader's obligation originally include this? I'm shocked too directly. Even if you find an excuse, find a better one. After Mr. Aizawa gave the order, everyone took action. Mr. Cement Division was responsible for creating a training place for everyone. Teacher Ethereal Ghost was responsible for acting as a physical shield and training ideas, and Mr. Midnight was responsible for the final review. Of course, as a member of the temporary instructor, Masada must also provide some opinions on everyone's tricks. Seeing the students in the training ground who are already acting like a fire, Masada's mouth has a curve. It seems very interesting. Chapter 224 Mentor. In the various venues created by the Cementman teacher, everyone has chosen the terrain they are good at and started training, while the Ethereal Ghost teacher suddenly separated a large number of clones and practiced with the students. So why are you still standing here? Looking at Himiko Toga next to him, he was too speechless to complain. At this time, Himiko Toga crossed his hands behind his back, his small face was raised high, the corners of his mouth were charmingly curved, and his throat was still humming an unknown tune. Very good, because I don't have anything to exercise in my quirk. Hearing that Masada finally talked to her, I happily replied, the quirk of crossing my quirk is to take other people's blood and become like them. If possible, I hope to become a Masada. I see. Jungtai squeezed his chin and nodded, crossing my quirk, there is really no room for growth. Like Yi Yin, they are all auxiliary quirks, and there are really no nirvana skills to practice. Didn't you watch Yi Yin now join Mina to watch the fun? Wait, who do you say you are going to become? Suddenly I realized that something strange seemed to be mixed in her words, so I asked again, too uncertain. I want to become a big man. I don't want to see myself standing in front of myself. What kind of mentality do you have to think like this? I was shocked at once. How can I want to become a man if I am so cute and beautiful? This is unreasonable, because I like Masada people, I want to be a Masada person. Facing Masada's doubts, I gave the reason very directly. Feeling that this JK girl seems to have some problems in her mind, Masada decided to use her essence as a teacher to enlighten her and act as a spiritual mentor. Well, cross me, I know that you like me, but you don't want to be me, but you want to be a person like me, you know. Quote. With a bewildered face, I pressed my mouth into a thin line. And I want to be a hero, right? So should you also work hard to become a hero? Hearing this, I seemed to finally understand. The little head quickly lit, and the two balls on the top swayed with the shaking of the head. Well, then I want to be a hero too. So you are too big, hurry up and become all kinds of red looks. I like you the most. Just assume she understands it. Wiping a lot of sweat, I feel that this girl seems to be too innocent, she looks like a deceit, and feels that she can easily take her to fish for goldfish. That's what you said. A thin layer of magma slowly emerged on his arm, covering it, and he asked me too. Yes, that's right, this color is the same as blood, so beautiful. After Masada used the quirk, I suddenly became like AST, as if I wanted to rush over to give Masada a hug, but fortunately, I was stopped by Masada in advance. Just kidding, the current temperature on my body is not covered. It is estimated that the opposite will be familiar with this one hug. In other words, after your transformation, is your appearance, body shape, and tone change in all directions. Taking the magma back into the body, Masada put his hand on my forehead to prevent her from jumping over. Yeah, that's right, as long as there is the other person's blood, I can become exactly the same as others. A cup of blood can last a day. Like a cat, I kept rubbing my head on Masada's palm, as if it was a very useful look. To be honest, this look really pokes Masada's cuteness a bit, and it's so coquettish. That's it, it's amazing to be completely transformed. Although it seems that this quirk is very common, but I am too sure that if there is a list of Wish My Girlfriend as quirk, you can definitely enter the top 10 by crossing my quirk. As for the reason, I believe you all understand it in your heart, ahem. And this quirk is also very powerful for stealing information and acting as a spy. If you imitate your character beforehand, you can completely replace a person without knowing it. I believe the government must be very optimistic about such a quirk. Since you don't have any special skills to develop, then you should exercise physical skills. After all, it seems that your offense is completely close combat, right? If you meet someone who is better than you in martial arts, you will suffer. After thinking about it, Masada didn't have any good suggestions. He could only give this one-size-fits-all proposal. Although this is a quirk-dominated world, in real battles, the help that physical skills can give is very huge. Yes, I didn't see that All Might was so famous with a pair of fists. Okay, see you tonight if you are too big. After leaving such an imaginative sentence, I stepped aside and went to practice with the ethereal ghost teacher. Smashed his mouth, Masada also walked into the stadium, ready to see how the students' nirvana skills were trained. Iida, don't you have that, what is it called? A piston engine, isn't that a very good nirvana? What are you doing now? Iida was lying on the ground at this time. He was trying to use his quirk to fly himself, and then used gravity from the sky to increase his attack power, but he couldn't maintain his balance at all. Somersault, I'm in distress now. Masada also saw his comical performance, and couldn't help but go up and say to him that Iida's trick can burst out at a speed that ordinary people can't see in an instant. It can be said to be a killer move. Piston engine burst sprint, can it really be a killer? Hearing the words of Mrs. Iida, Iida quickly got up from the ground and asked excitedly. Student Masada is right, the kills do not necessarily have to be used for offensive purposes. For example, for the Shenwei of the jungle, his move Summer Cage is a very standard kill which can quickly restrain the villains. Teacher Ghost Ethereal also floated over, nodding to Masada in agreement. He was worried that Masada would come up with some strange ideas before, and now he is completely relieved. Chapter 225 Teacher Masada. After that, Masada also watched the development progress of a lot of classmates, Nirvana skills, such as Ojiro's new fighting method using tail fighting, Asui's mimicry, Mina's acid spray, Grape's grape, rush and so on. Speaking of Grape's so-called Nirvana, Masada is a little embarrassed. In his opinion, this trick is nothing more than throwing the sphere on the head quickly to restrain the opponent's movements. The name is very gorgeous. The momentum is also very strong, but this is simply a high-speed flat A, right? I said, you might as well try to change the shape of your disgusting things. Wouldn't it be better if you can turn these things into the shape of a whip? I really couldn't stand Grape's triumphant look. Masada slapped him on the shoulder and slapped him away. Can these disgusting things change their shape? I never thought about it. Wait, what disgusting things are? You tell me clearly. Grape, who was entangled by Masada's words, was taken aback for a moment, and then immediately became annoyed after reflecting on it, but after being glared at by Masada, she cowered and said nothing. Satisfied, 383 nodded. This little brother can still see his face clearly, Masada said. You haven't studied your quirk for so many years. You just know that this thing is sticky and elastic. No wonder no girl likes you yet. If you use girls to motivate Grape, he will definitely work harder. Well, it must be so. Masada couldn't help clicking a thumbs up for her language art. I see. As if awakened by a word, Grapes flashed in his mind. That's right, it's not fun at all if it's just a sphere. If it can change its shape and become tentacles. I always feel that this color Grape seems to be crooked, because his eyes are now a little blurred, and the corners of his mouth are dripping with transparent liquid. But finally his goal was achieved. Grape is now in a frenzy, and he starts to hold his spheres constantly, wanting to control them to change the shape. I always feel that these words are crooked. Green Valley, why are you still not taking action? Everyone present was trying to use their quirk CDEI direction. Even Yi Yin was dragged away by the ethereal ghost gang teacher to train the hidden breath method, but Masada saw LVGU standing in place, watching his hands were motionless, so he went up and asked. Still immersed in his own thinking, he didn't find Masada approaching at all, and Lubu was immediately frightened. Who did I think it was? Recognizing who the person behind him was, Lubu was relieved, and his face was a little irritable. The doctor said that if my arm is injured a few more times, it will be completely scrapped, so I don't even say that I will kill it in an even fight. It's difficult. After listening to Lubu's words, she couldn't help but smile, which made Lubu even more annoyed. I'm like this, you still laugh at me. Wait, I didn't say I was laughing at you, I just think your direction of thinking is a little simple. Seeing Lubu became even more frustrated, Zheng Teibai gave him a glance. Why do you have to be attached to your fist for a simple enhancement system like you? Obviously you can attack with your legs, shoulders, or even your head. You are confined by all might. Don't look at him yelling smash all day, but it's just a simple punch. After listening to Masada's words, Lubu fell into contemplation once again, and the pictures of the past battles were constantly reappearing in his mind, and he has such a performance that Masada is relieved. After all, Lubu is famous in the class for its strong analytical ability. Yes, as long as he starts to think, then he will definitely gain something. Suddenly, a huge explosion sounded, and Zheng Tai looked in the direction of the sound. Bakugo was standing on a high slope, with strands of smoke still in his hands. It's already done. Teacher Ethereal, one more. In such a short period of time, Bakugo had already had the idea of killing, and was now putting it into action. Seeing the look in Masada's eyes, he glared at him, and then turned his head away somewhat proudly. Haha, little Bakugo, what are you researching, can you tell me? However, the more Bakugo looks like this, the more interested Masada is, and he just leaned forward. He just likes to see Bakugo, and he wants to beat himself up but feel helpless. Go away, Magma B*************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************̈ Fierce, there was obviously a lack of confidence in Bakugo's words, and he was very keenly aware of it. Hey, let me think about it, isn't it inspired by my tricks? In that case, I would be proud of myself. Seeing Bakugo's constipated expression, Masada guessed that he had guessed it right, but he didn't know which trick he got inspired by. After all, he had too many tricks. And Masada is not disgusted with this kind of behavior. It is a joy to learn from her companions and grow up with each other. Besides, her meteor ray was born after imitating Endeavor's her scorching fist. The next few people also made Zheng Tu eye-opening. Kirishima is trying his best to increase the time for him to maintain body hardening, which is the kind of transformation form. Kaminari seems to be thinking about transforming an electric fencing sword, but it does not seem to be anything. Effectiveness. And Boom is trying to make myself able to use ice and fire at the same time. This idea is also very good in Masada's view, because this can not only produce a huge gas explosion in an instant, but also the rapid cold and heat itself can cause huge damage, and it can also greatly enhance the continuous combat capability of the bomb. 100. Cha-cha, you guys can really hide. After bypassing a mountain peak, Masada's eyes lit up and finally saw the two people she had been looking for. How about it, do you have any thoughts on the Nirvana? Walking to the two of them and sitting cross-legged, Masada asked curiously. He was naturally very concerned about the two of them, so he also decided to help them advise them. Well, I already have a general idea. Yaoyorozu is worthy of being a schoolmaster. Whether it is theoretical knowledge or imagination, it is very powerful. It has only been more than half an hour before he has a clue, and Masada has to admire her. Me too, actually, I have been thinking about this problem for a long time, and now I finally have a chance. Cha-Cha also looked excited, and was obviously full of confidence in his own destiny. What exactly is the kill of the two? Chapter 226 Yaoyorozu Wan's Nirvana. Because my quirk is very single, I just create things, so there are only two things that can be developed. Yaoyorozu Bai talked about what he was good at. He transformed a rimless mirror from the palm of his hand, and pushed it on the bridge of the nose in a similar manner, that is to increase the speed of creation and create more powerful weapons. However, since this time I am preparing to obtain a temporary license, I will definitely not have much time to create items in the assessment, so I decided to start with the first aspect. Yaoyorozu's vigorous analysis listened to Masada for a while, because when he was developing his own moves, he thought of only one bigger, faster, and stronger. It sounds very old-fashioned, but this is also related to the different characteristics of the two quirks. Masada's Magma is completely created for destruction and killing enemies. Let him use the Magma quirk to save people or investigate, then it's really difficult for him, because once the quirk is used, there will be a lot of noise. And Yaoyorozu's quirk is almighty, but she is more inclined to skill, so there are more things to consider than being too detailed. Of course, maybe this is also a kind of IQ suppression. While talking, Yaoyorozu's shoulders kept shining colorfully, and metal tubular objects emerged from it. Quote question mark question mark. Quote, seeing the scene in front of me, I was so confused, I didn't understand Yaoyorozu's 100 to express, what? It's not finished yet, but if it is the same as I imagined, I will become super strong. As if he was also aware of his luxury, Yaoyorozu blushed and slapped Masada. In my concept, these are barrels and howitzers. By the time you can quickly create ammunition, you can become a humanoid. It's a turret, and after I become more capable, there will be even more powerful weapons. At that time you have to be careful. Don't be beaten down by me. Speaking of this, Yaoyorozu shook his small fist aggressively, but this action was not scary at all. On the contrary, it made people feel very cute. Hearing Yaoyorozu's description, there was a cold sweat left on Jungtae's forehead. Why does this must kill sound so violent? Also, the sentence just now must be meaningful. It must be, a woman is really a creature that bears grudges. Obviously, it was the one who entangled the Masada first. In the end, it was really unfortunate that the Masada himself. But even though she was a little weird in her heart, Masada still put forward some ideas of her own. In this case, I think you might as well just create a set of heavy firepower armor to wrap your body. If the barrel is directly generated, recoil is a big problem. But if it is armor, there is no such worry, and the armor is just a small step, and it must be no problem for you. After listening to Xingtai, Yaoyorozu was greatly inspired. Indeed, I just took it for granted. Not only did it have the above shortcomings, but the problem of bullet advancement was not very easy to solve, but this suggestion of Xingtai solved all the problems. I have even figured out the name of the Nirvana for you. How about calling it heavy firepower armor? That's right, Masada shamelessly plagiarized an online game that was very popular in the previous life, the two sensing active skill of the female big gun in the dungeon and the warrior, because the concept of Yaoyorozu's 100 kills is too similar to this skill, he thought of it all at once. This name is not bad. I didn't see that Masada, your mind is not so stupid. Obviously, Yaoyorozu Bai was very satisfied with Masada's proposal, and even praised Masada for the first time. If this is a compliment, then, as a reward. There are rewards. The grandma who just wanted to ask what the reward was, only felt that black hair was brushing across her eyes, bringing a tangy fragrance, and then her face seemed to be lightly pecked by something soft. I was kissed forcibly. It should be. I haven't reacted yet, still feeling the wetness on my face, thinking too dazedly. Okay, you go quickly. Cha-Cha still needs your help. But before he could think back to the whirlwind, Yaoyorozu couldn't wait to push him away. At the same time, there was Cha-Cha who left with him. Cha-Cha, do you know what happened just now? The two of them just stood in the open space, Masada asked. No, I have clearly witnessed the Cha-Cha of the Gango scene, and now my face is still red, and I really want to give it a try. For flowers, Masada has always been a person who follows his inner thoughts very much. Whether in daily life or in battle, he is such a straightforward and simple person. So he squeezed it up. I have to say that the powder cheeks of Cha-Cha feels super comfortable when squeezed. The bulging cheeks are full of elasticity and tenderness, just like jelly. Q-bombs, let Masada love it for a while. Ning, Masada's sudden action made Cha-Cha a little confused. Facing Masada's weak temperament girl, she didn't have the thought of resisting at all. She was so tearful and looked at Masada with embarrassment. One more squeeze one last time. After a light cough, Masada said that she didn't want to let go at all, but the girl's gaze was too lethal, making Masada always feel full of guilt in her heart, so after the last aftertaste, she honestly let go of her hand. And Yaoyorozu on the other side was the same at this time, blushing all over his face. Oh my god, what did I do just now? I took the initiative to kiss Masada. Oh, what a shame. Buried his head deep in his mountain, Yaoyorozu looked up a little embarrassed, for fear that someone would suddenly appear here to see her embarrassed. And also in front of Cha-Cha. How can I see her in the future? Don't worry, Cha-Cha has no thoughts to take care of you now, and she can't protect herself now. If there is an old perspective, you will definitely say so, right? It was Himiko Toga who made Yaoyorozu do the impulsive action just now. I have already seen Himiko Toga's liking for Junta in the class. It is extremely naked, and he does not hide it at all. Yaoyorozu prides himself on his face. Although I believe in the relationship between myself and Junta for more than 10 years, there is always a case in everything. Women in love always have some careful thoughts. I believe that Masato was also very pity just now, but now it must be sorry. Yaoyorozu Bai said that he is very confident about this. You must know that Junta said that, one kiss is not enough, at the beginning. For a long time, Chapter 227 Improvement of Combat Uniform. So, what are you going to do, Cha-Cha? Don't you have to train Nirvana? After coming out of the training ground, Masato was dragged by Cha-Cha all the way out of the Gamma training ground and walked to the school building area. Yes, this is preparing for my death. Hearing what Jung Tai said, Cha-Cha, who was walking in front, turned her head, clenched her small fist and replied with full of momentum. I want to enhance my mobility and use my previously trained fighting skills, but the quirk can only make me float, so I can only improve the combat suit. Hearing this, I understand it too well. I really think Cha-Cha said a long time ago that it is necessary to add a jet device to the combat uniform. So we are now heading to the development laboratory. After all, these high-tech things still have to let professional talents come. Before they knew it, the two reached their destination. The door of the development laboratory was an iron door nailed with oranges, including the design of the house number and the architectural style. Strong punk style. Moreover, the surrounding environment is still full of the smell of engine oil, which gives people a mechanical smell all at once. This is it, right? I remember the teacher in charge here should be the super excavator teacher, right? Stepping forward, Masato reached out and knocked on the door. Boom. Quote. However, what greeted him was not a friendly welcome, but a huge explosion. He didn't expect this to happen suddenly. Masato was directly blown up and his face was ashamed. Fortunately, his body was strong enough, even if he was hit by this heavy iron door, nothing happened. But he felt his breath stagnate inexplicably, as if his head was buried by something soft. Ahem, I say you. In the smoke from the explosion, a man's voice came, don't just mess around with something in your mind. Don't say that, teacher, failure is the mother of success. And the great inventor Heimerdinger also said, even if the things that are made do not perform their functions as planned, it cannot be said that the hard work is nothing. Significance. There was a girl's voice in his ears, making Masato suddenly full of spirits, so to speak, it must be pressed on his face. The benefits of these 2 days are too much. The smoke cleared, and Hatsume Mei, who had an acquaintance with Masato, was now surrounded by him. Because of the explosion just now, Hatsume Mei was blasted out, causing her to lock Masato's waist with her legs in a hurry so that she would not fall to the ground. You are the person from the previous sports festival. Without realizing how bad her posture is now, Hatsume Mei lifted her body slightly and screamed excitedly when she saw Masato's face. However, due to the majestic peak of Hatsume Mei, although her body is no longer lying on Masato, physical contact still exists. And she only wore a thin vest. This kind of intermittent friction, coupled with the legs that tightly hugged Masato's waist, Masato only felt that her space-based railgun could not be controlled. Clumsy tore Hatsume Mei from her body. Masato smiled at Cha-Cha with regret, but Cha-Cha's current expression is now completely broken. Today, this innocent girl is really stimulated a bit. Well, the explosion just now scared you. It's been a long time since I saw you. Who are you from the Hero S department? I forgot all your names. Wearing maintenance gloves on his hands, there is only a vest on the upper body, and the jacket is tied directly around the waist. Hatsume Mei is a very well-dressed motorcycle girl, but Masato doesn't want to care about her at all now, and always feels that if she talks with her, it will cause more trouble. The super excavator teacher, we came here today to discuss the improvement of the combat uniform. Straightforward, Masato said to the super excavator teacher who was sorting out the laboratory, the explosion just now caused a mess in the laboratory. Improved battle suit, look for me, I'm very interested. Who knows that Hatsume Mei leaned over as soon as he heard the wife's words, not at all embarrassed by being left out in the cold. I've heard from Eraser, it's for researching Nirvana skills, so I need to improve the combat uniform, right? Let's talk about it first. For Masato, a new star in the Hero-esque world, even if the super excavator specializes in scientific research, he has already heard of his various deeds and has a very kind attitude. And you posted, after the school was changed to boarding system, you have no problem with the teacher in the laboratory every day, but if you continue to mess around like this, you will be forbidden to enter the laboratory. Even though he said so, the super excavator teacher didn't really scold him, but was rather helpless. It seems that he loves and hates Hatsume Mei too. It's amazing, it's almost the same as the secret base. The environment in the laboratory made Cha-Cha exclaimed and kept looking at some novel things. Then let the teacher read the instruction manual of the combat uniform. It should be put together with your box. I have a license for modification. After reading the instruction manual, I will try my best to help you get it. I have to say that the conditions of the students in the Hero S department of Shongying are really superior. If you are outside, it is costly to transform a combat suit, and it also requires extremely cumbersome procedures, but these can be done easily in Shomni. Arrive. Actually, this Uraraka Ochako classmate needs improvement today. I came with her. Faced with the enthusiasm of the super excavator teacher, Masada smiled a little embarrassedly, seemingly just coming to join in the fun. Well, my quirk is no gravity, so I hope I can design a jet device on the combat suit that will allow me to quickly change directions in the air and improve my mobility. Cha-Cha also came over at this time, and said with a serious face that this is a major issue related to the temporary license assessment. That's how it is. Hatsume Mei, who had been silent just now, appeared again, and went directly behind Cha-Cha, wrapping her hands around her waist. The waist is unexpectedly slender, and the muscle lines are also very good. It seems that I usually pay attention to exercise. Cha-Cha, whose waist was suddenly attacked, tightened immediately, but because it was a girl, she didn't incarnate Steam G. In that case, let you try my baby. While talking, Hatsume Mei looked excited, not knowing where he took out a strange handguard, and was about to install it on Cha-Cha's hand. And many more. Seeing her actions, I was too panicked. There was an explosion just now. Now if something goes wrong with this unknown thing, I will hurt Cha-Cha. Where can I cry? Excuse me, the super excavator teacher. I'm here to improve the combat uniform. Just as Masada snatched what was in Hatsume Mei's hand, the door was suddenly pushed open, and the meticulous Iida walked in from the outside. Seeing Iida wearing glasses, Masada's eyes lit up. Iida, it's so easy to use. Chapter 228 Mouse Iida. Igarashi, Uraraka, are you there? I was surprised to see Masada and Cha-Cha here. He didn't pay attention to when they left the training ground. Although I am very happy to meet my classmates here, why does Igarashi look at me with weird eyes? Iida has a bad premonition in his heart. It seems that when he looks at a person too much, that's when that person falls down. Yo, Iida, what kind of transformation do you want to make? With a smile on his face, Masada walked to Iida's side with enthusiasm and asked eagerly. In my case, I want to reduce the negative impact of engine acceleration as much as possible, so I plan to ask the super excavator teacher to strengthen the cooling system. Although I don't know why Masada behaved so strangely, the upright Iida still honestly stated his purpose of coming here. Hey, Hatsume Mei, let me introduce to you. This is Iida-san. Now he has some trouble with the battle uniform and needs your baby very much. However, after Iida finished speaking, he realized that Masada was no longer in front of him, but ran to a girl with pink hair 23 and whispered. Is this girl very familiar? A classmate of logistics department, right? As the only logistics student who passed the preliminary round, Hatsume Mei still left a deep impression on Iida, so he recognized it at this time. Stare. After I don't know what Junta and Hatsume Mei said, Iida suddenly noticed that the eyes of the girl with motorcycle wind were shining brightly, staring at him as if he had discovered some treasure. Unconsciously, her personal charm can make a young girl fall in love with herself at first sight, and Iida felt a malicious rush towards her. That, super excavator teacher. Iida tentatively yelled the super excavator who was immersed in the manual, but the other party was obviously in a state of thinking now, and he did not hear him at all. I'll help you. I happen to have a baby that suits you very well. Although the teacher ignored Iida, Hatsume Mei was completely excited at this time, took out a device from her treasure chest, and directly took advantage of Iida's stunned skills and installed it on his body. This is a super-cooled electron accelerator that raises the suppression of temperature to the limit. It's my 36th baby, how about it, super cute. The explanation was carried out on his own, and he was particularly satisfied with the invention of the test product that came to the door suddenly. No, what I want is not an accelerator, and why did you put him in my hand, Hatsume Mei? Iida protested repeatedly, but it seemed that the opponent didn't care about his resistance. The acceleration function is activated. I saw Hatsume Mei took out a small remote control and pressed it lightly, and then the device on Iida's arm made a roar. Boom! A large amount of gas was ejected directly from this device, and Iida's reaction speed could not keep up at all. It was directly pushed to the ceiling by this impact force, and the huge impact even knocked out the metal ceiling into a depression. Oh, it seems that the power is a little bit higher, and some adjustments are needed. Seeing the results of the experiment, Hatsume Mei looked excited and took out a notebook to write and draw on it, recording the experimental data this time. My quirk is on my lap. With the exhaustion of the reverse thrust, Iida fell from the ceiling, and at this time what he hadn't finished before reached everyone's ears. Of course I know, but don't you think that if you want to cool your legs, you can't just run with your hands? Hatsume Mei faced Iida's question plausibly, and Iida fell into a strange circle, and she couldn't speak directly. Masada saw this funny scene in front of him, squeezing his smile crazily to prevent himself from laughing. If he runs with his hands, don't he have to land on all fours? Then take turns to run. This Hatsume Mei is too good, right? The movement just now finally awakened the super excavator teacher. Seeing the farce made by Hatsume Mei, he walked in anxiously and punished her with an iron fist. The teacher really wants to forbid you to enter and leave. Faced with such a threat, Hatsume Mei finally got down and ran to the side to take advantage of her invention. It seems that not being able to experiment is simply her culprit. I'm really sorry, this child's self-centeredness is already a little sick. Turning around, the super excavator teacher looked embarrassed as everyone apologized. After all, Hatsume Mei has become this quirk pattern, which is also partly related to his indulgence. But how should I say, if you all want to be heroes, you should still cherish this fate with her. As soon as the voice changed, the super excavator teacher said to several people earnestly, after you become professional heroes, you will definitely cooperate with her. The garbage mountain in the corner of the laboratory is all the backup equipment developed by Hatsume Mei after enrolling in school. Even if the school is off, she will go to the laboratory to continue to play around. Teacher, I have taught logistics for many sessions, so I have a deep understanding. Hatsume Mei is a special case. That's really an invention, madman. Hearing the words of the super excavator teacher, he glanced at the garbage mountain, which is almost 1/3 the size of the laboratory. Masada's view of Hatsume Mei has also changed a lot. He originally thought that Hatsume Mei is just the girl who likes spoofs. It now seems that she is too obsessed with invention, so she doesn't care about other things at all, just living in her own small world. Such people may sometimes offend some people, but they can definitely make a career in their own field. A person who is not afraid of failure and can immediately put the ideas in his mind into practice is not much worse. To go, student Uraraka, what do you think of this design? After clarifying Hatsume Mei's situation with several people, the super excavator teacher took Cha-Cha and ran to the side to study her combat uniform. Masada couldn't talk about it, so she wandered to Hatsume Mei's side. What are you looking at? Hatsume Mei was studying with a stack of thick materials at this time. He didn't turn his head back when he heard Masada's words, and said perfunctorily, I'm looking at the method of making a special battle uniform. This remark aroused Masada's interest and made him lean in curiously. About the production method of the special combat uniform developed by the user Quirk. The title of this material instantly attracted Masada's interest. Because of his unique fighting method, it can be said that there is no such thing as a battle suit. And after every battle, the wear and tear of clothing has always been a worry for Masada. A combat uniform can always be with you, I say. With a faint palpitation, Masada told the inventor of his difficulties. Chapter 229 Masada's exclusive battle suit. Student Hatsume Mei, I have some confusion about the combat uniform and want to ask you for advice. After knowing Hatsume Mei's temperament, Masada also cut the subject directly, without a trace of nonsense. Sure enough, speaking of what he was interested in, Hatsume Mei immediately dropped the file in his hand, with an excited expression on his face. What do you mean? Do you want me to modify your battle uniform? I looked up and down for the Masada. At this time, the Masada was wearing an ordinary Shongying gymnastics suit, and there was no device similar to a battle suit. Did you not bring your battle uniform? Or was it repaired because it was damaged? In the past, it was not that no one came to the laboratory to modify their battle uniforms, but like Masada, it was the first time that Hatsume Mei saw someone who came here without wearing a battle uniform, so she asked suspiciously at this time. It's not. In fact, I haven't had anything that can be called a combat uniform until now, right? Masada is a little embarrassed. It seems that he is very strange in this respect. The heat-resistant black vest and army boots shouldn't be considered as combat uniforms, right? What, as a student of Heroes, you don't have a baby of your own? Hatsume Mei was thundered by Masada, but the next second, her face was excited again, and she rushed to her treasure library for a while. Come on, how about trying this outfit? This is a good thing at the bottom of my box, energy armor, a high-tech baby that can sense muscle contraction and assist the wearer's actions. In the blink of an eye, he took out a 3-dimensional armor from the Hill-like invention, and introduced it to Masada confidently, but before she finished speaking, she was interrupted by Masada. That, Hatsume Mei, my quirk is a bit special. Quote, even now Masada is still a little overwhelmed with her enthusiasm, and she is a little embarrassed when she speaks. It may not be seen here, you will know when you go to the training ground with me and take a look. Oh, it turned out to be a very challenging project. Okay, let's go quickly. Seemingly more excited than Junta himself, Hatsume Mei couldn't wait to pull Masada's arm out of the laboratory and ran towards the nearest training ground. Looking at Hatsume Mei, who didn't even say hello, the super excavator teacher sighed. I don't know if this kind of temper is good or bad, but one thing is certain. Hatsume Mei will definitely become a manufacturing industry in the future. A character not to be ignored. Okay, come and tell me what is special about your quirk. Arriving in an idle training ground, Hatsume Mei eagerly said to Masada. Wait a minute. His sportswear can't withstand the heat of magma, so Jung took off his clothes directly. Of course, there is still his special vest inside. My quirk can turn my body into magma, such as this. While talking, Masada's arm suddenly changed from a normal body to crimson magma, and fell from his arm to the ground, melting a large hole in the ground. Then, it can be like this. In Hatsume Mei's curious eyes, Masada's original incomplete part returned to its original shape in the surging of magma, and finally cooled down and became a normal arm again. Not only my arms, but my whole body can be transformed into magma as freely as before, so I don't need a battle suit at all, but my clothes can't change back with my body, so you should know my difficulties. Right, putting the gym suit back on her body, Masada explained to Hatsume Mei, and at the same time looked hopeful, wondering if experts in this area can give herself some good suggestions. Poking Masada's arm and discovering that there is nothing strange, Hatsume Mei raised his head. It seems that I have seen this ability during the sports festival, but I still think it's amazing to see it with my own eyes. With a confident smile, Hatsume Mei patted her chest, causing the two peaks to sway for a while, so you need a baby that can be worn on you again after you turn into magma, right? I was overjoyed after listening to it too. It seems there is a play. Yes, but I only need a pair of these pants. I don't care about the upper body to be honest. For fear that the technology in this area is very difficult, Masada also lowered his own conditions. Originally, he hoped to have a complete set, but it is still uncertain whether this technology can be realized, so it is better to be conservative. You are lucky. The information I read just now is the technology in this area. This is also a technology that has just been launched in the past 2 years. It has not yet been widely popularized. Sticking out a finger, Hatsume may popularize Masada's knowledge. There are many quirks, which only affect themselves. Your problem is actually a common problem with many heroes, but the hair of the human body can inherit the effects of quirk. Therefore, a new combat suit it was born in just a few years. Speaking of this, Hatsume was also excited. If you use your hair and the latest technology, you can theoretically make a set of combat uniforms you want. At present, this technology is in the experimental stage, but judging from some feedback from Hero S, this kind of baby's feedback is very good. These words seem to have opened a new door for Masada, using hair to make a battle suit. It seems to be a feasible way. Mountain Girl, don't you know? Her battle suit is made with this technique. Masada found out that she didn't seem to have enough brains before, and she had obviously dealt with the Mountain Girl many times, but she didn't find it at all. It can be turned into a giant's mountain, good money, good bling girl's battle suit. No matter how you look at it, it can't be an ordinary material. How can there be such a fabric that can have such a good malleability? If it is not a special fabric, as long as you use quirk, your clothes will burst, and then they will be seen all over. That's great. Then I quickly go ask the super excavator teacher to make one for me. The excited Masada felt like an arrow, but as soon as he stepped away he was pulled back by Hatsume. Hey, I am the only one who has mastered this technology in the entire Xiaomi. Even if you ask that old man to eat it. With an unkind smile on his face, Hatsume uttered a fact that made Masada petrify in an instant. I can make this baby for you, but at a price. Seeing Hatsume getting closer and closer to him, as if he was about to open his mouth, Masada felt a little worried. This girl won't be interested in herself, let her be paid for by herself.